Greetings, family. I am Cassandra. Hold on just a second. Let me set my little. I'm missing a phone. I don't know what I did with it. Let's see. Let's see here. Done. Okay. All right. Um, hey, all right. I am Cassandra Faye Floyd, also known as the daughter of the Fates. I see you, Mayoni, FG Apothecary, everybody in the house. Um, yeah, so I've been wanting to do a live for several days now, and life be lifing. So I'm up in here. I really, really wanted to yesterday, but I got kind of overwhelmed. So today is the day, is what it is. So let's see here. So what we gonna start calling it Magic Monday? That's what I call it anyway, because I was really tired of waking up dreading Monday. I feel like that's a spell. You know what I'm saying? That has been cast on us. I was really hating dreading Mondays. And so I started saying, all right, well, Mondays, instead of, you remember that song that the Bengals did? Just another manic Monday. I think Prince wrote that song, as a matter of fact. Just another manic Monday, Monday. Wish it were a Sunday. I was like, what a terrible song. What a terrible song. So I started saying, just another magic Monday. We'll add some shit onto it. But anyway, I'm up in here. How y'all doing? Okay, so I'm gonna get right to it because I got much to do today. But because the reason it ends up taking me so long doing lives these days is because my intention will be to do a live first thing in the morning to quote get it out of the way, and as soon as I sit here, I become undone. And it was almost the case this morning. I got up this morning around 6, sat here, and it's 9:30. I got up at 6, sat down here, said, okay, I'm gonna take a few minutes to clear some of these tabs off my laptop. You feel me? Set up a live, do a live by like 8 o'clock so I can get up out here and get these things done that I need to get done. Here it is. If I showed y'all my desktop right now, y'all be like, damn, how many tabs she have open? Has she been closing? Has she been closing tabs? Uh, has she been closing tabs since 6 o'clock this morning? Okay, that one I should leave open. That one I should leave open. Well, I will tell you what happened. My cat hurt himself in the wee hours of the morning, and so I have been on the hunt to find one of those veterinary services for people who ain't got no money. You feel me? Because he's hurt. And so I set up last night. I guess it was around 3 o'clock, trying to doctor on him. Yeah, I'm an acupuncturist, but I'm not a veterinary acupuncturist. So I was up in here straight tripping. He really hurt himself. So I have to figure out today how to go get him synced and stuff. So anyway, that happened. And that's why I had a bunch of tabs open, still got a bunch of tabs open. But I also need to keep the lines of communication open with you guys so that I can keep this thing moving. Right. So anyway, a lot has happened. I am working on some things. I got about 10,000 things spread out before me, but I want to give you a sneak preview. I finally, started working on my zine, and there it is. Well, look at that. My zine. Then I have been invited to do. I've been invited to do to participate in an art exhibition. So when I tell y'all, I be having a lot going on. I got about 10,000 irons in the fire. You feel me? So I've been invited to participate in an art exhibition. It'll be the first art exhibition I have participated in since spring of 2018. That was the last time I was featured in an art exhibition. That was in Tampa, and it's something that I've been wanting to do again. I've been kind of lamenting for some time about really wanting to jump both feet first back into my art life, my musical art life, and my creative art life, my productive art life. When I say productive, I mean producing things, right? And but for the longest time, um, for easily about 8 months now, um, like the sense of like urgency, and I don't know about nobody else, but this is me and this is my journey. You feel me? But the sense of like urgency, like I do not ever want to quote create. And I tell y'all that all the time, even when I'm like making your jewelry, when you're asking me, when you're going to, the Etsy store to buy jewelry or to buy magical tools and things like that. Sometimes it take a long time because I'm not going to put my hands on anything while I'm in a certain like place, while I'm in a certain kind of energetic, you know, frequency. I'm not putting my hands on your stuff. So sometimes it takes a little longer to produce your stuff because it takes a little longer for me to shake. Like I don't I don't want urgency to be the energy that's going into your things. I don't want overwhelm to be the thing that goes into that which I produce for you. Okay. And so it was the same way artistically. And then this brother, young brother, owns this bookstore here in town, and he features local artists every 2 months, and has given me the opportunity to participate in this art exhibition that he's doing. He's only featuring 3 artists, and he'll be featuring them for, I think, I want to say a month. Like our art will be up for a month. And I'll be honest, you feel me? Oh my God. I, so the deadline is Thursday. And I haven't shared this with y'all, but I have court first thing Wednesday morning. So I'm gonna need y'all to get your conspiracies up with my name spoken out loud all over your conspiracies. You feel me? I have a court date at 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. And I don't know. You feel me? I'm like, hmm. I still I still believe that things are gonna go my way. That's what I accept, is that everything is gonna go my way. Although there is no evidence in the moment that everything is gonna go my way, I still have confidence that everything is gonna go my way. So I am still moving in the world with the presumption that everything is going to go my way. You dig? I hope that makes sense. And I'll be honest, I am a grown up, so I get it. I get it. Like, how people be talking about, are you being ambitious? You know what I'm saying? Are you being an idealist? Are you not being reasonable? I'm doing all of those things, and I am still accepting that everything is going to go my way. I can do both. So while I have been going to, the lawyer's office and going to do X, Y, and Z. You feel me? Um, I am, and that shit does not look promising. And I'm gonna tell you why. I wasn't going to tell you why, but I'm gonna tell you why. Because it is a necessary segue. Because I have events organized for the rest of this month. Like a lot of events that I'm either setting up at, that I'm either speaking at, and one that I'm hosting. That too, from the outside looking in, seems really ambitious when a bitch don't know if she gonna have a place to live come Wednesday morning. You feel me? But I was like, I'm gonna organize these events because I've been stewing and overwhelmed for some months now. The and I want to say something else. I am this city, and it's not just this city, but this city that I currently live in. This is happening all over the place. This is going to be an uplifting, you feel me, video. But I do want to segue by saying we have to recognize that there is a bold, outright, fuck you, we don't care, whole ass throwdown that is happening in this country right now. And those people staging that throwdown really are relying comfortably and audaciously on the fact that we are not going to buck back. When I tell you, it's never been so clear to me. So many of you have been emailing me. So many of you have been commenting on videos I haven't watched in an age, baby. I'm telling you, this week was crazy. So many of you have been commenting on videos that I made 3, 4, 5 years ago about how currently relevant those videos are today. So every time you guys comment on a video, of course, I'm going to go back and watch that video. And my mind is perpetually blown. Let me tell you something about I have a word today. I have a word today. Let me tell you something. I am Cassandra. Okay? I was gifted the name Cassandra. I was gifted the name Faye. I was gifted the name Floyd. And it wasn't until I was I was considered a crone. It wasn't until I was 42, 43, 44, something like that, that I began to really accept what an extraordinary blessing and miracle my name is. Do you understand what I know you don't understand what I'm talking about, but I'm about to give it to you. My name is Cassandra Faye Floyd. I did not name my daughter. The person who named me named my baby. My name is Cassandra Faye Floyd. My daughter's name is Morgan Bethany Floyd. My father is Stephen Ray Floyd. My mother is Jacqueline Jeanette Futch Cook when she was born. And I did not realize, and when I tell you, I am daily amazed. I am daily amazed. Even though I be experiencing a multiplicity of emotions at the same time, amazement is never off the table. When I tell you, amazement is never off the table. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning. I was up until 3 o'clock nursing my little poor injured cat. Okay. And I woke up this morning like I do every day. First thing on my mind is in by Wednesday, am I still going to have a place to live? You understand? And amazement still is never off the table because I'm like, damn, this shit is really radical. It's really, really radical. And that's what the noise is about. All this noise, all this conflict, all this confusion, all this dismay, despair, uh, all of this bullshit that seems to be increasing. These motherfuckers seem to be turning up the dial on blast. You feel me? To try to drown out the amazement, to drown out the magic, to drown out the majesty of this moment, man. These motherfuckers are relentless in their aggressions. They really, really are. And even with the relentlessness, I am forever amazed, daily amazed. If I take 2.2 seconds to just whoosh, blot out the noise, right? The only thing that comes through is like, holy shit, I cannot believe this has been my life. Oh, like this shit is, you can't tell me. You can't tell me. Because, baby, this shit has been unbelievable. Unbelievable. And so I have never been so clear. I've never been so clear. And the reason I'm saying this, I know it seems all ambiguous and out of nowhere, but it's not. I spent most of the day yesterday preparing to do a live for you guys yesterday. And then my cat hobbled up in here because he be outside playing. I'd be like, Storm, come in, Storm, come in. He's like, I'm playing. And so usually he don't tiptoe up in the crib. I leave the front door open for him most of the day. And he don't tiptoe to the crib until it's time for him to have his last meal for the day and curl up somewhere in the crib and knock out. And he curled up in here last night, hurt, like obviously hurt, whining like a baby. I was like, oh my God, what's wrong with my cat? And so from 10 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the morning, I was nursing my baby. I was coddling my little child. You feel me? And I'll be honest, I was annoyed. I was like, well, damn, am I mean? Because I'm annoyed that my cat got himself hurt out here. He think he a thug and he ain't. And so what it looked like is he got in a brawl with some other cat, some street cat, and the street cat got the better of him. That's what it looked like. It looked like he got his little butt whipped, is what it looked like. You feel me? Anyway, I was kind of annoyed, and then I felt bad because I was annoyed that my child got hurt, right? And then this morning, just this moment of clarity. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something. I've been trying to stay off of social media, you know what I'm saying? But that's pretty much impossible to do. You sit down to check your email, sit down to just respond to messages, you know what I'm saying? And you're bound to be caught up. Especially if you're constantly trying to learn something about what's happening in the world without getting caught up. Anyway, all of that to say, I've been looking because the art show, the art exhibition is a photography exhibition. Bet you didn't know I was a photographer. I have been for a long time. You know, if you count the years that I became enthusiastic about photography, which was pre-digital photography period, I've been capturing extraordinary moments since I was 9. I'm not joking. I still have a box of photos. That was my hobby. And that was the hobby that my parents really nurtured. I would buy the film, but they, with my little allowance, I would buy the film, but they would commit to getting my mom mostly would commit to getting my pictures, developed. And so, since I was about 9, I became a real, because it was really more like chronicling, because my parents got divorced and we were moving a lot, and I didn't want to miss anything. Everything was happening so fast. We would spend half the year with my mom, half the year with my dad through the years that they got divorced. We went to Colorado to stay with my aunt while they were going through the divorce. It was just a lot happening, and I didn't want to miss anything. That's really why I started being obsessed with taking pictures, and then it just stuck. And then my first year in college, I took an actual series of photography classes, learning how to develop. This was when we didn't have it was still when we didn't have digital cameras. And so I learned old school photography, how to develop, how to shoot, going on missions, having assignments, developing our own work, that kind of shit, right? And so yeah, I bet you didn't know I was a photographer, like an actual photographer, right? So this art show is a photography show. And so I've been in my obsessive self trying to narrow down 3 pieces. It's a photography show, but it has to be the theme is um, what will the future be? So trying to narrow that down. Storm, Storm, come here, boy. So he's just walking around moaning and whining, but he won't stay his butt inside. Anyway, so that's happening. Then uh there was something else I was gonna say. Oh, the zine. I am still trying to do too many things at one time, but I did finally start on the zine. It is typical of who I am. Okay, so I'm gonna just show you kind of like the front page of it ish. But I've already had, don't judge. I'm just going to share. Okay, do not judge. Reserve your opinions if they are fucked up opinions. All right, you do not understand the madness that is my mind. That's it. All right, so anyway, this is going to be the cover of it. And then I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections that will be the content of my first zine. My first zine is going to be the ongoing thing that I distribute as a part of the work of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I'm hype about. So this is going to be kind of like the cover. And I've already found like somebody to do the printing for me. But anyway, this is the cover. I'm going to do a lot of chaotic handwritten shit. You feel me? So this is the cover. This is our temple logo, right? Ooh, that's fresh. Okay. And then I've got, so like the first page in it, I'm already hype about. So this is just a bunch of little tiny pictures I produced and cut out. These are the pictures that I used to make the jewelry. As a matter of fact, let me show you something real quick. Ooh, sorry, you guys on IG. It's not very reliably steady setup, but let me show you something really quick. So those teeny border pictures I just showed you guys, I just took pictures that I've been collecting over the years that I make jewelry with. Y'all, some of y'all have the bracelets that I've made for you. So I'll show you again. These teeny tiny, they're all goddess images. So these teeny tiny little goddess images bordering the collage. This is a small version of a big collage that I made here. So see, that's a big collage. It's the one right here on my wall. And I just took a picture of it to put there. And then these are tiny little goddess pictures along the border, right? And those actually come from these little beads that I make for the jewelry, the circle bracelet. Hey, boy, come on in. Whoop. Shoot, I dropped it. Anyway, right? So it's like the teeny little beads that I make for the bracelets. I know, baby, but you gonna have to sit down. I might need to close you, lock you in. So teeny little beads that I make for the bracelets. So this is another thing that I have coming up this month is a workshop teaching people how to make their own bracelets from beginning to end. So I already have like 1 million of these images cut out. Yes, hand cut out, child. Cut out. And then I'll provide like all of the supplies for the workshop. So all the beads These are like little bamboo beads that I post them on, right? See, so little bamboo beads that I post them on. And then I already have all the images cut out. So they'll get the images, enough beads to make their own bracelet, and then teach them how to make their own bracelet from beginning to end. So this is one where I was doing a series of Free Palestine pieces on the same circle beads, but these are black, right? With different Palestinian like freedom fighters and stuff like that from history. So anyway, that. Okay, so that's like, and then on the inside of this section, which is the welcome to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, is going to be what typically would be on a website that I still don't have designed yet, whatever, right? So it's going to be like the vision, the mission, what the temple is about, why the temple was created, who the founder is, why she did that. You feel me? So on, so on, so on. Membership, how to become a member, all that kind of stuff, right? By the time I finish the zine, I hope that the launching of the zine and the that's what I'm working on, is that the launching of the zine and the website will happen simultaneously. This is going to be the first section, the second section of the zine, called Crowning the Crones. You see the little cute ass collage picture there? It's not mine. So I have the author that created this image. Right. But you see the little Venus Willendorf right there at the bottom. So the first section is going to be Crowning the Crones. That's going to be a whole deep ass section. The next section is going to be Welcoming Goddess from Newborns to Preteens. The Bleeding Healer. This is obviously about the onset of Menarche and why spiritually is significant and how to cultivate that. Stories that I have about that. So like the story that I've told y'all many times about my time on White Mountains Apache Reservation, having been invited to a sunrise ceremony for a young girl that just started her menstruation, and how there were 400 members of the damn community that came out to celebrate this girl's onset. Extraordinary, right? This is going to be revealing the true shapeshifter. So this is about when maiden becomes mother, and the stages and phases of what happens while she's mother, what happens to every single person around her when she becomes mother. Because when she becomes mother as the shapeshifter, she shapes and changes everybody's personification. When she becomes mother, people become aunties, people become uncles, people become grandmas, people become grandpas, people become sisters, people become brothers. Everybody is changed when she is changed. You see? This is why revealing the true shapeshifter, right? This one is going to be a whole section on like symbols, how to recognize symbols, the significance of symbols in the modern era, how they're being used as weapons against human beings. So that's going to be a whole deep section. And you can see that I'm starting with the letter S, right? And then this section I'm going to call Food for Thought. Oh, but actually after the section on revealing the true shapeshifter, I haven't titled it yet, but it's going to be this section. The next section is going to be, I was debating about the title yesterday. Like, is it going to be like the return? I'm obsessed with this whole idea of the prodigal son. And if y'all if you are familiar with the parable of the prodigal son. So I was thinking about calling this section like the return of the prodigal son, or something to that effect, or something about the son, SON/SUN, and like, him coming back into the fold type of thing. So about the males in our society. That's what this section is going to be about. Under the goddess. Males in our society under the goddess. Okay. And then the food for thought. I mean, this, the C, the signs, and the food for thought as the last thing. So that's it. This is the beginning of the first zine production of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. It's been a passion project of mine for some time. And what you guys are going to get when it is complete is a lot. There's going to be a lot in there. Our what do you call it? Our conspiracies are going to be in there. It's going to have a whole etymology section, words that we've been talking about for a very long time that are etymologically extremely important and significant for us to know. So all of our conspiracies up until this point are going to be in there. A whole host of my note taking over the years is going to be in there. All the scribbling that I do live when I have a breakthrough, that's going to be in there. And what really inspired me, what really inspired me was I had bought a couple of zines. What inspired me to take the messy route of zine making was, I told you I've been going to what you call it, the Philosophical Research Society, and bought a couple of zines from there, from this dude who apparently was very big in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, because of his style of zine making. And I paid $25 each for these little zines. You see that little bitty zine? You see that? You see that? I paid $25 for this zine. This dude, he's in his 80s now. I think he lives in New York, but his zines are still heavily reproduced, right? So I bought these two of them because I love music. So I was like, all right, let me buy the Alchemy and Music one. And then, I got all kinds of stuff falling out of them because I've already been cutting up mad shit. And this one was the Myth in Alchemy piece, right? And so I opened this thing up. I was like, this design? I was like, well, shit, this is how I take notes. See that? It's just literally, some of the stuff is typed out, some of the stuff is torn out and glued and pasted. You feel me? Some of the stuff is handwritten. You see his own writing up in there. Some of the pictures are reproduced. Some of the pictures are his interpretations. You feel me? I was like, well, oh shit, I already got about 15 zines with all my note taking over the years, just over the last 3 years, on my note taking. I got easily 15 zines. I was like, well, shit, let me go ahead and start fronting and let the chaos of my my spiritual journey make me some dividends. You feel me? And so this is just 8.5 by 11, folded in half. So what is that, 4 by 6? And these things fly off the shelf. They can't keep them there. Like I said, each one of these, and he has about 12 that they sell there. Each one of these, $25 each. They can't keep them because they're dope. They're chock full. As much information as, I think this one is like 16 pages, 24 pages. As much information as in this 24 pages is as much information as you would find in a whole book. It's chock full, right? So anyway, that's how I kind of got on it. Was like, I don't have to. Everybody's always like, when you gonna write the book? When you gonna write the book? I was like, I don't know. But I was like, I ain't got to do anything, like Stephen King style writing. I can just use what I've already produced. You know what I'm saying? And get with it. So that's the project. On top of trying to narrow down, I only have about like professional grade, professional quality. I only have about, I don't know, maybe 3,500 pictures, 3,500 photos esque. And I'm not gassing myself up. Like, professional quality photographs that nobody has seen. Some I've, just released for free, on my Facebook or whatever, but like that nobody has seen, a bunch. And so many so That's Google needs to pay me because on my uh, on my Google Maps account, like, I'm one of those ones that's like an unofficial travel blogger. So every time I go anywhere, I'll do like the Google Maps will ask you, will you give us some opinions about this place that you just left? And I'm like, yes. And will you send us some pictures of the place that you just left? And I'm like, yes. And then you get these quote little perks, but they're not paid perks. You're just like little bullshit awards or whatever when you get so many views or comments towards contributions that you've made to Google Maps. And I was like, damn, I need them to pay me because I have to, as of today, okay, as of today, I have like 2.5 million views and well over like 600,000 comments on photos that I've posted. 2.5 million views and about 600,000 comments. This is just since 2018. About 600,000 comments on photos that I've taken. And so that's why I be upset about this YouTube bullshit, is because y'all play too much. I spent 3 hours in the messenger communication with YouTube trying to figure out why y'all have had my subscribers stalemated at 4,600 for the last 3 years since I got monetized. Like, why y'all play so much? We don't shadow ban. Shadow banning's not a real thing. That's what this woman in the messenger, like live messenger, told me. We don't shadow ban. That's what she said. It just must be that we're constantly deleting subscribers that are bots. Okay. So anyway, I know that was a long and seemingly ambiguous introduction, but my name is Cassandra. I am the founder. I'm also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I have some things I want to talk to you about today. That was just kind of like a digression that I didn't plan on, but whatever. But I do have a message for you today, since I didn't give it to you this weekend like my spirit wanted to. All right. So the title, Storm. I'm gonna have to lock this dude up in the house because he out here harassing everybody. Storm, come here, baby. Come here, boy. Anyway, the title is called She is Risen. She is risen. And you know why, right? As a matter of fact, pause for the cause. Let me do some housekeeping. Okay. If you want to support the work of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, if you want to support my work, then you can. There are a plethora of ways that you can do that. One, I'm going to give you the email address for the temple, which is EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com. I'm going to put it in the comment section of the YouTube, since for whatever reason I'm having a slow drag kind of connection. So it is EvoEmeTemp and you can use that email to send a Zelle or a PayPal. So I'll say it again. EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com. You can also send a Cashapp to $sign Daughter of the Fates. You can send a Venmo to Cassandra, Cassandra-Floyd. And you can also buy dope ass jewelry or books or spiritual tools at my Etsy store, which is Daughter of the Fates. .etsy.com. You can also use that email, EvoEmeTemp to book a divination of either 30 minutes or 90 minutes. Just put divination in the subject header and I will respond with how you can book a session. And I believe that's it for now. Okay, so before going on, I pulled some cards for y'all today. I haven't done a reading for the temple in a hot minute. So I am going. I'll have to change the time for that too. I knew I was tripping. So I pulled some cards right before I got up on here. So we're gonna move through this little mini divination for us for the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Something else I did yesterday that I'm gonna start carrying with me because, like I said, I have like 3 events I'm setting up at this month. I hate vending, by the way. When I don't have to, I don't ever want to do that shit again. I hate setting up tables. I hate vending. I hate it. But I'm having to, do what I got to do. So anyway, but yesterday, because I have about 100 of these frames that I need to use, and I showed y'all some things that I did with the frames, like this, the article that was written about me here in a local magazine. I framed it, bought my mom one, and framed them. So that is an article that was written about me, I think last year. So I was like, ooh, that's going to be cute on a table when I set up to vend. And then I did some other kind of more like spiritual ones that I showed y'all, but I'm not going to go pick them up. And then yesterday, finally, I got a printout of the temple logo that is, I don't know if y'all can see it. Do I want to mess up my little thing? But anyway, it's a big painting on my altar here behind me. You can see the bottom of it, those of you who are on YouTube, so you can see the bottom of it right there. But anyway, so this is also the one I have on my abdomen that I showed y'all, big. So this is the logo for the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. So I may post this as something that you guys can just purchase from me, and you can choose whether it's going to be a black frame or a white frame. And you can also choose if you want me to write a conspiracy around the edge. So that's what I had been doing with all of the other pieces that I've been creating and framing, is writing a conspiracy in gold or silver around the edge of every frame. So I'll probably go ahead and post that today on the Etsy store. All right. So I think that's it. All right. Now that all of that stuff is out of the way, I did a mini reading for us. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about these cards that I pulled, try to move through that relatively quickly. And let's see. So the first card, I'll show it to you briefly. Yeah. So the first card I pulled is interesting because I pulled this card twice this week during readings. Well, over the last, let's see, what's today? Monday? Since Thursday, I've pulled this card twice before, and this is the card that came up again today. So this card, I read from the Medicine Woman deck. It's an old deck. It hasn't been updated. I don't know if the author of this deck is still alive. I could not find any information about this woman anywhere on the internet. So for somebody to be completely invisible on the internet, and I mean completely invisible, because I was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? This dope was created in 1972, and there haven't been any updates, like re-releases or anything like that. So it's a Medicine Woman guidebook. I've been reading from this deck since 2016. The card is called the 5 of Stones. In this deck, the suit of stones corresponds with the energy of the coins or the pinnacles in the traditional deck. Okay. All right. So the 5 of Stones is So the stones, like I said, correspond with the energy of the pentacles or the coins in the traditional deck. The pentacles and the coins, aka the stones, are about your material wealth, what you have, what you need, material wealth, what you got in your house. Do you have a car? This and that and this and that, right? What you may have coming to you, what you may have lost recently. Okay, so it's all about your material wealth. Since I've been reading this deck since 2016, I have added to the meaning of this card. Me personally, I've added to the meaning of this card um, as a part of your quote material wealth is um, is your human equity. We don't think about human beings as a part of our portfolio of material wealth, if you will. And you have to, because every relationship that you have is time, energy, emotions, value that you have had to pour into that relationship to sustain it, to nurture it, to allow the relationship to grow. This is what I call human equity. Human equity, and it is real. If it wasn't real, we wouldn't have a bunch of billionaires trying to bleed us dry of our human equity. Okay, so your human relationships, which are investments, your human relationships are investments that you have nurtured, that you have seen to, so on and so forth. So I include in the suit of the stones human value, human equity, your relationships. Okay, and those relationships count both ways, whether positive or negative. As a consequence of your relationships, are you bleeding your wealth? Are you bleeding? Are you bleeding out? Okay. So the reason I'm prefacing that way is because the stones card that I just showed you is called the Great Giveaway. It's so interesting that this card has come up twice before in the same week because this card is called the Great Giveaway because it is asking you to see something that you have experienced as a recent loss from a different perspective. So to simplify, have you recently experienced a loss of some kind? Something that may have been important to you. Some it didn't even have to be important. Some Did you lose money? Did you drop a $20 bill and you really needed that $20 bill? It can be something as simple as that. It could be something major. Like one of the persons that I read this week, and that was the first card that was pulled in her read. Um, she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." She said, "I have been sitting in my house recovering for 2 years from the loss of a passion project, and it was so huge that it like knocked my legs out from under me. I've been sitting in my house trying to figure out what to do next for 2 years." I said, "You've been grieving the loss, and unfortunately, we feel ashamed or embarrassed to to take the same kind of emotional care when we lose a job, or when our business fails and we believed in it, or when we had to drop out of school, but there was nothing, it was unavoidable, there was absolutely nothing that we could do about it, and we know how much society judges, and so we feel ashamed or guilty, or people make us feel ashamed that we're actually experiencing signs of grief when we experience a loss that is more about like or project, that somehow we are not supposed to feel as deeply about that kind of loss as we do about like the loss of a relationship or a loved one or something like that. And she was like, "I never even thought about it as grief. I just internalized that it was kind of like a nervousness that I was feeling about, quote, putting myself back out there, about getting back out there." Let me tell you what she had done instead, which we do. We deflect. When we feel ashamed, when we feel guilty, when we feel self critical, we deflect. Instead of walking through those emotions and rectifying those, reconciling those, we say, "Okay, well, that didn't work. It must mean that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. So let me get out here and do this other thing and go real hard," which is what she had been doing. And so she was telling me, "I want to do I'm really, really good. A friend of mine was telling me I should be like a postpartum doula because I'm really good with women who have just had a baby and this and that and this and that. And she was just going in, going in, going in. I said, what was the loss that you experienced? Well, she is in fashion. She is a fashion designer. She does everything from design to sewing, pattern making, from she makes her own fabrics, like all the things involved in fashion. That's what she do. I said, you're going to go back and watch this video and see how your whole demeanor changed when you talked about uh, fashion. And when you talked about the idea of becoming a postpartum doula because you were good at herbs and this and that and this and that, I said, you're going to notice a demeanor change. You're going to notice how your voice changed when you talked about your passion project and when you talked about something that you happen to be good at. I hope somebody hear me out there. I know somebody hear me because I know y'all, because I know me, because I know us. Somebody out there feel me. How we will confuse, quote, that thing that we desire. I hate using the word passion, but it's the easiest word to use to communicate what I'm talking about. Those things that we are passionate about, that set our soul on fire, that every time we think about it, we're like, oh, yes, that's my shit. Like, if I could do that every day for forever, I would never get bored. That thing. And then the thing that, quote, oh my God, I am so good at this. I do this so awesome. I do this so well. I recognize the need for this so deep. And you talk about it with some enthusiasm, but there is a difference in how you talk about this thing over here that sets your soul on fire, in this thing that within the context of the world imposed on us, you happen to be very good at. I need some confirmation because I ain't gonna spin my wheels if y'all ain't up in here. So I need some confirmation. Y'all up in here? IG, y'all up in here? Hmm. Is this resonating with anybody, or do I just need to go on and pump the brakes on the reading and just go on into the thing that I was going to talk to y'all about? She is risen, because I can do that. I ain't I ain't prideful. I can shift gears. You feel me? And go on right into the message for the day of she is risen. It don't, no harm, no foul. My ego will not be bruised. 0%. Let's see what y'all talking about over here. Okay, all right. All right. Somebody just lost a 7-year relationship. That is deep and profound. Present, yes. Okay, that's hit me. It resonates. Okay, I'm going through this to the nines. Okay, then. All right. I need confirmation. Y'all need to talk to me. Okay. So anyway, the she was not clear at first because we are not clear. Um, we're not given like a robust cornucopia of information that helps us to easily navigate through temporary complexities that may enter into our lives. We're given, it's either A or Z, it's either black or white, it's either 1 or 100, and nothing. When we can't solve complexities in our lives, we feel like somehow there is an inherent flaw in our thinking, or an inherent weakness in how we are seeing and assessing the thing. Not that we're having to simultaneously navigate the emotional complexities that come from loss of any kind, that we're at the same time having to deal with the very real emotional complexities while trying to stay free and clear so I can solve this crisis in this moment while being exhausted and demoralized and heartbroken and outraged and feeling like you need some revenge. Like, nobody gives us the language, provides us with the language that is dynamic and robust enough to help us see all of these things that have become a factor in how to move from point A to point Z through in the loss of this thing that allows us to come through not only quote having survived. The fuck is that? I hate that word. I hate that word. I hate survival. I hate that word. The fuck is that? Why would you have to quote survive in a world that is abundant? Because that shit is meant to do exactly that. It's to exhaust you to such an extreme that just surviving has to be enough. I hate that word. The world that we trying to create will not require survival mentality that we hold up as some kind of image. Perseverance. I hate that word. I hate that word. What's another one I hate? Survival, perseverance, fortitude, stick-wittedness. Ew. Ew, 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 ew. Ew. God damn it. And if we had enough information at our disposal, we would see the criminality of those words. You know what I'm saying? That you just got to be strong. I said strong, like we do in the South. You just got to be strong. You know what I'm saying? Adversity builds character. Fuck that. The fuck kind of character is built in a constant state of fucking survivalism? What kind of character are we developing in a constant perpetual state of, oh my God, I gotta survive. Oh my God, I gotta survive. I gotta stick with it. I gotta persevere. I gotta be resilient. I gotta ew. Lies straight out of the mythological hell. All of that shit. All of that shit. What y'all talking about over here? Survival doesn't make sense in a world of abundance. Absolutely, positively, 10 million% not. Absolutely spells. Yes, absolutely. Language is the quickest channel of emotion. There's so many phenomena and aspects of life that we can't even talk about without sounding silly or feeling inadequate. Yes, or being made. I got a story to tell y'all. I'll tell y'all in a minute, but don't let me forget the story I got to tell y'all because it just happened this Friday. And I betrayed my own philosophy. I betrayed my own philosophy and it kicked me in the teeth right away. It didn't even wait. Didn't even wait. Child, that shit kicked me in my teeth right away. But anyway, so this card is recognizing. As a matter of fact, let's see. Yeah. Let me read you one quote from this card, because this was the quote that stood out and made her open up. You feel me? It says, in this most recent moment, it may seem as though you have lost something important. You understand? It says, did you have to dip into your security stash, or did you sacrifice your own well-being to serve someone else's will? Huh? Did you hold back your talents, abilities, or true convictions from the material world with which you were working? What does that mean? What does what I just said mean? Hmm? What does that mean? What does it mean when it says, did you sacrifice your own well-being to serve someone else's will? How many times a day do we do that? I said times a day. How many times a day do we do that shit? Go to some fucking job that does not appreciate our existence, much less our opinion, much less how much wealth we create for that job. Chronically, perpetually creating wealth, generating wealth, creating wealth, generating wealth, trying to prove yourself. So giving away your genius ideas with no compensation just to quote, prove your value at a job that hates your goddamn existence. How many times a day did you sacrifice your own well-being? What well-being? Your emotional well-being, your psychological well-being, your spiritual well-being, your physical well-being. What we be calling these quote little microaggressions, and people who know what a microaggression actually is and what it actually does say that it's not a microaggression. It's literally death by a million paper cuts. Just getting at you every day, going at you every day, then having the nerve on top of that to gaslight you and make you think you crazy for what you're experiencing in your actual body, in your actual blood. Did you sacrifice your own well-being recently to serve someone the fuck else's will? Is that not what is happening times a million right now, today? Right, this is a word, this card. I didn't even see it this way because I was talking to individual people about their individual life, but this is a word for today. This reading for the temple. We can stop at this card. Did you sacrifice your own well-being to serve someone else's will? Whose will are you serving? Anybody got anything they want to contribute to that? If I left my job, the company would probably not survive. And you know that. You understand? You know that. And yet your ass still can't leave. Not only can you not leave, you cannot get well compensated for the obvious contribution that you make to the survival of the company itself. Yo. You understand what I'm saying? I could go on because we all are betraying ourselves. That's what this card is about. That's what this card is. We are today, this day, what is it? April 6th, 2026. Today, we are all betraying ourselves to serve someone else's will. Everybody on the whole of the globe. Yes, we are. There ain't nobody exempt from that. Ain't nobody exempt from that. We are all betraying ourselves to serve someone else's will under the guise of survival. Giveaway is preceded by the card called Basic Survival. The 4 stones is called Basic Survival. Basic Survival. That's the name of the card. This card here, the very next card, the giveaway. It says, did you sacrifice your own well-being to serve someone else's will? Thank you for the donation, Jessica. I can't see your whole name. Jessica Giroux. And then it goes out for something. But thank you. She says, time to wake up and listen to the Oracle Mother because she got something to say today. She got something to say to y'all today. It says, did you sacrifice your own well-being to serve someone else's will? Whose will are you serving today? I don't give a fuck who you is. I don't give a fuck who you is. You could be the most revolutionary gangster, leftist, Leninist, Marxist, socialist, communist. I'm so against the state. Your ass is still serving the state today, baby. I know you hate to hear that. You still serving the state. Your ass went up and go work at some job. Your whole spirit hate. Your whole essence hate. Your flesh hates. The way your flesh hates is because it's always sick. It's always tired. It's always got a headache. Your flesh is telling you in a million different ways, this ain't what you supposed to be fucking doing, bitch. Do something else. Take a risk, take the leap, and do something the hell else. As a matter of fact, the previous card, the 4 of Stones, say, listen, it can be risky. It can be risky doing that. That's what it say. He say, make a list of 3 things you absolutely can't live without. And then jump off the cliff, bitch. It don't say that, but it says take the risk. Take the leap because you will be better off on the other side. Make sure you have the bare essentials laid out before you so that you can cast all fate with the wind to do what your spirit is calling on you to do. So that your spirit can be served and not somebody else's malignant goddamn will. Your spirit can be served, not somebody else's malignant will. It says right here, did you hold back your talents, your abilities, or your true convictions from the material world with which you were working? Ooh, Somebody gonna be charged today. Somebody gonna be feeling convicted today. Somebody gonna be feeling judged today. But I came up in here to motivate, to invigorate, to inspire you today. I had to get up and clear the energy in my apartment today and dance to Bjork real loud. I know my neighbors was mad, but I don't care today. Thank you for the donation, Balance Justice 679. I love emojis. I love this little. Is that an Atari? It's an old school Atari stick. I love it. I love emojis. Yes, I came up in here to inspire you because I was inspired this morning. Like I told you, I am so certain that things are going to go my way. Things are going to go my way. Remember I told y'all that I changed up the lyrics to Lenny Kravitz song. What's the song? Are you gonna go my way? And I got to know, yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Are you gonna go my way? I say that's not the lyrics. That's not the song. The song is everything goes my way. And I always know, yeah, everything goes my way. Everything is going my way. I don't give a fuck. Everything goes my way. Okay. So this card say, did you hold back your talents, abilities, and true convictions from the material world with which you were working? Of course you did. Of course you did. Why did you hold back your talents, your gifts, your ideas, your abilities, your true convictions? Because something out here in the world, the way that it is always looking to sabotage you and your life. Why is sabotage necessary in a bureaucracy? And I don't care what the nature of the bureaucracy is. I don't care if the bureaucracy is capitalism. I don't care if the bureaucracy is communism. I don't care if the bureaucracy is socialism. Bureaucracy is a weapon that all of them employ against you. That's the only thing it's for. That's the only thing it's for. You feel me? And so, why is sabotage necessary in a bureaucracy of any kind? Because it always goes back to the same thing. Everywhere you go, there you are. Everywhere you go, there you are. Who is the you? Everywhere you go, there she is. Everywhere you go, there you are. Looking through you, looking through her. The noise installed to make sure that you never see you, that you never see her, that you never see you in her and her in you. That is all. And I know. Ooh, I know. Ooh, 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 I know. I know. I know. It is so impossible. It is so difficult for us to see salvation in the simplicity of things. Why? Because war means to cause confusion. That is the only way they continue to win. It is the only way they continue to run circles around us, because we believe that if it is too simple, it cannot possibly be. We believe that if it's too simple, if it's too easy, it must not be legitimate. If it is too easy to understand or comprehend, it definitely can't be that smart. We do that. I keep wanting to go back to this story that happened this Friday. I'm going to tell y'all at the end, though, so I don't go off on a tangent. But I'm still going to tell y'all this story because everything that I'm telling you right now is so relevant in this interaction that happened on Friday. None of us can possibly believe that our flesh is smart enough to do the job. None of us believes that a 3-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old is smart enough to change it all. None of us. They can't possibly be smart enough. They can't possibly, quote, know enough. They can't possibly have enough information. And when you collectively have decided that, quote, smarts, oh, son of a bitch. God damn. You. Oh. Mm. 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 Oh. Mm. God Listen, that if your ass ain't smart enough, if you ain't sharp enough, if you ain't, quote, learned enough, if enough, quote, toxic ass, bullshitting ass, completely illegitimate ass, probably lying ass, quote, education ain't been poured into your skull, you cannot be heard. What you say cannot possibly be valid. I'm gonna have to tell y'all the story about Friday. Oh my God. The moment that I just had is because I was telling y'all, not to digress too much, but I was telling y'all, and I can't even think about what book it's in. I wrote it in. I can't even think about what book it's in. But I was going off on the letter S and how it shows up everywhere and why specifically Nazis were so obsessed with the letter S. It was everywhere, even places we didn't see it. It was everywhere. And so I'm looking at the swastika and I'm trying to find the specific, because there's like 1,000 different types of swastikas that all mean something different. And so I'm going back. I said, okay, well, why did the Nazis choose this particular swastika? Y'all remember that? I said, why did they choose this particular swastika to represent them? And that particular swastika was talking about, I'm going to have to find this because this is the third time I've mentioned it. I wrote it down somewhere. But this particular iteration of the swastika was based on a prophecy present in the Bhagavad Gita about, because the swastika is time. It is a clock and it is a calendar. Yes, it is. Not only is it a clock and a calendar in the Western Hemisphere from Antarctica all the way down, from the Arctic all the way down, the swastika in almost every culture in North America and in Central and South America is about the role that weather plays in time. So it's not just a clock. It is also about the establishment and prediction of weather. Yes, it was the swastika. You feel me? So I said, okay, why did they choose this particular iteration of the swastika? And it is because that particular iteration represents a specific deity. I forget what his name was. It starts with an M. But when this particular deity, and when it was his turn to, quote, reign in time, it would represent the fulfillment of a prophecy where the, quote, supreme beings, still called Aryans, would no longer be dark-skinned, dark-haired, dark-eyed. They would shift as time shifts to where now the white that was on the bottom will be on the top as the supreme, still called Aryans, but now having hair like the sun, eyes like the blue unclouded sky, and skin like the white sands of the desert. That this deity in his most destructive phase represented a complete subduing of the blackness and everything associated with it. That Hitler was seeing himself as a prophet. He was seeing himself as a necessary disciple of an end of the world cult. Yes, as told by the Bhagavad Gita. That this same reason is the basis behind the caste in India. Y'all don't want to hear that because y'all think it's just some political shit. No. The establishment of the caste is much deeper than just, quote, politically, we hate black-skinned peoples. Okay? And so he's seeing himself, not only him, a bunch of people that y'all call Hebrews, Jews, they subscribe to this too. And at the same time, right? And so I am having this moment with the swastika. How did I get on this? Oh, because this particular deity, as represented by this particular iteration of the swastika, the disciples in Hinduism, in Sanskrit language, the devotees of this particular deity, this particular manifestation of the deity, baby, guess what they are called in Sanskrit translation? Guess what they call? Just guess. The Smarties. I said, what the heck? What the what? The Smarties. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Yes. Mm. Do y'all even get how deep the implication for that shit is? Y'all don't even, because I see y'all over here cracking up. I was having a whole moment of being undone when I read that shit. The Smarties. Now you're talking about the Bhagavad Gita. You ain't talking about some shit that was written 1,000 years ago. You are talking about the Bhagavad Gita is dated at what, 2500 BC, bitch. These motherfuckers called the Smarties. Could this be the basis for the very long, slow, deliberate, methodical, secretive, destructive idea of the supremacy of, quote, the mind over the heart, the consciousness over the flesh, the conscious mind over the dark, evil, subterranean, unconscious mind, subconscious mind, this in every single solitary field, in esoterics, in alchemy, in science, in chemistry, in history, in the telling of history, in religious and religion and spirituality, in money. Oh, the deep dive that I went on this connection to the current state of money and currency exchange. What did what she say? Hold on, this I'm gonna pull out. What she say? Um, in the Great Cosmic Mother, right in the beginning of the book. Where it was? Oh yes, it was in the chapter called Marx and the Matriarchy, page 13. Let's see, 14. Yes, right here in the Great Cosmic Mother. She talks about what I'm talking about, but what I just told you adds a whole nother dynamic, because Barbara Moore was genius when she wrote this shit, but even she did not factor in the deep, practically applicable, everyday, affecting your goddamn life with symbolism as spells, relevance of what I'm talking to you about how, because she has a whole chapter on Hitler. She has a whole chapter in here on Hitler, and her assessment and understanding of how Nazi Germany was able to occur is brilliant. I haven't heard anybody to this day talk about how not only Nazi Germany happened, but why it was fucking predictable and inevitable. She went off. She went all the way the fuck off when she was talking about Nazi Germany. She went all the way in. Like a scientist, baby, like a surgeon. She went in. And even then, there's certain information that we have access to now that she did not have access to that could have made even that chapter way different. But listen to what she say right here on Marx in the matriarchy, right? Yeah, I really want to read the whole shit to you, but I still take y'all on a journey because it matters. That's what I was getting to though, was about the Smarties, the quote intelligentsia, the quote jargon. Somebody do me a favor, because I don't have access to it right now. But somebody, you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna do it right now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's why in the zine, I'm gonna have a whole little page, maybe 2 or 3 pages on etymological words that are important for us to always retain. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Well, you will. Ooh. Okay. So what I did was search the etymology for the word jargon. Yes. Hey, sister. Celote Tasa, how you doing? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. I see you here commenting over here on IG. Uh, yes, yes. Got the same message about money and how the dollars. The dollar sign was literally acting as a block to actually enter uh, money as numeral energy. We want. Whoop, shoot, dang. Uh, okay. Jargon. The reason I brought it up about how these people master the art of just being real jargony with their wording, deliberately wordy. You know how we say that all the time. Like, why y'all so extra wordy? Why can't y'all just talk plain? why y'all can't just keep it simple? You understand? It says the word jargon originated in the 14th century from Old French, originally referring to the chattering, twittering, or warbling of birds, as well as unintelligible talk or gibberish. Y'all, can y'all just say y'all in the room? Just come on and say y'all in the room. How everything is flipped upside down. Okay? Listen, originally referring to the chattering, twittering, or warbling of birds, as well as the unintelligible talk, or as well as unintelligible, meaning they saying a whole bunch of not shit. They saying a whole bunch of not shit. Thank you. That is what Israel is doing right now. Yes. Saying a whole bunch, just talking real fast and trying to sound smart, even though they dumb as a box of rocks. Some of these billionaires should not speak in public. Oh, some of the shit I've seen this week coming out of the mouths of billionaires. Oh, oh. Like, y'all be talking about secondhand embarrassment. I'm like, oh my God, did he just say that out loud? Did he do it on purpose? Like, is this like some sleight of hands ass shit? Or is he really that stupid? But because he has $1 billion, somebody's always going to believe he's smarter than he actually is. Like, I'm always trying to understand, like, what's y'all play? What y'all playing at? Are y'all feigning stupid? Because y'all do that. Are y'all feigning stupid, or are you act? And then they'll talk real fast saying stupid shit. Like, didn't nobody just catch what lunacy just came out your mouth? Ooh, child, some of the shit I heard this weekend. I said, Anyway, it stems from the echoic, imitative root garg, Garg, similar to the Latin word garire, to chatter. Over time, it shifted to mean specialized, often unintelligible professional phraseology. That's why you cannot defend yourself in court, is because of the required use of jargon to make your ass feel like you stupid and could not adequately defend yourself because you don't know, quote, lawyer talk. Oh, I'm convinced of it. I'm like, I'm sitting here listening to the shit whenever I hear, because I used to watch, like, when they used to show it. They don't show. Why is it that they don't show you court TV no more? Why you can't just sit? They used to have a channel that was nothing but actual real court cases playing 24 hours a day on court TV. Actual real time court cases playing 24/7. Why don't they allow? What happened to court TV? As popular as it was, because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to get hip to the game. They don't want you to see what type of tomfoolery they be conducting in these courts, where now suddenly they limit public access to hearings. They be talking over your head, trying to make you feel stupid because you don't speak the same bullshit ass language that they deliberately construct over time to refer to a specialized and unintelligible professional phraseology. Where else they do that at and benefit from highly? The medical field. Yes, the medical field. Medical institutions deliberately do that to literally shame you out of asking questions, out of asking deep and penetrating questions. I don't give a fuck what you talking about. Your ass didn't grow up in a hospital. Tell me what you just told me so that a person in the third grade, a person in the fifth grade can understand clearly so I can make an informed decision about my next course of action where I am allowing you access to my body and my health. Jargon is a weapon of fucking war. Yes, it is. Just like the sister say, you see it all over TV right now. And the more a bitch is chattering, especially a man, the more a bitch is saying a whole bunch of words, but don't nothing they say make no sense. Like this bullshit that the ambassador to Israel, his cracker ass living in goddamn Ghana, trying to explain why he didn't sign the document saying that slavery against Africa, as an assault against Africa, was the gravest of all crimes against humanity. And all he was saying was a bunch of nothing. And if people don't start checking the shit out of that, and I mean checking the shit out of it, I'm not talking about speaking their language so that they can understand. They understand perfectly. Even when you cussing them the fuck out, they understand. They feign ignorance. Could you say that differently? I don't understand hood speak. I don't understand ebonics. Bitch, yes, you do. Because y'all study us more than we study us. Stop lying. And you gonna get this blood raw shit. Just like everybody else gonna get. You gonna get this blood raw shit. Because y'all want to act like y'all can't understand nobody unless they talking like you. I ain't nobody. Because even when we master the art of code switching, we soften the tone in our voice and make sure that the bass isn't too aggressive in our voice, so that make sure that our eyebrows don't crinkle when we talk, so they are asking us, why you mad? Bitch, what are you talking about? Why your ass don't have no facial expressions when you talk? Why your ass don't get hype when something is exciting? Bitch, what the fuck is wrong with you? Not what the fuck is wrong with me. They talking about that shit in Hollywood right now and blaming it on surgery. No, y'all ain't never been expressive like that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Botox ain't the problem. Botox was the fix. If I remember, what movie was that I saw? Oh, what movie was it? Oh, it was the Eddie Murphy movie. What was that Eddie? What was the Eddie Murphy movie where he was Daddy Daycare? Y'all remember Daddy Daycare? And one of the moms, she was like a stereotypical Hollywood mom, came to drop her baby off, and her baby was a little rowdy something, and he was rowdy because his mom didn't have no facial expressions. What did she say? Because he's like, oh, I don't want to be here. Typical little toddler kicking and running and she was like, calm your face. Calm your face. No lines in your face. Take a deep breath so you can calm your. See how I can barely even do it. I was like, can I do that? Can I speak without my eyebrows moving? Calm your face so no lines show. That's what I was thinking about. What the hell y'all got against facial expressions? You think you giving up something? What you got to hide that you can't express and emote with your face? What your ass plotting and scheming at that you do not want to show no face? And so now that they don't even have to try. They don't have to quote meditate to keep their eyebrows from moving when they talk, so that they don't show any lines. They don't got to do that no more. Now they can just go get Botox and surgery. Eyebrows lifted the hell and back so that there are no lines in their eyelids, so that they can have perfectly flat eyelids and shit. The hell is wrong with y'all? And so they use their deficiency as a weapon to bludgeon you. So no, since we know what the jig is, now we just gonna have to stand 10 toes down and give it to every motherfucker blood raw, whether that be in court, whether that be on the street, whether that be talking to the police. Don't be acting stupid. Anyway, it says, it's still unintelligible. That's what it say right here. It's still unintelligible, but now it is hidden within the context of necessary professional phraseology, because the only way a judge is going to take you seriously is if you can cite penal code judgment, blah, 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 and this and that, and according to the judgment from Supreme Court, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. You don't need all that shit to know whether this shit is right or wrong, whether it's fucked up or not. Do you know? Even this bullshit with this goddamn mayor campaign and how extraordinarily, disgustingly bureaucratic that shit is. And so you have the candidates that you have running right now. I couldn't maintain. I didn't have any help. Now, when I was calling for a committee to build a white woman campaign, the first meeting we had 33 people. When I'm calling for a committee to run a campaign for myself, fucking crickets. Isn't that revealing? That somehow the white woman can be more progressive than I, even though I wrote her entire campaign. When I say every single solitary word of her policies, I wrote that shit. Gave her campaign the name. There ain't nothing she contributed but showing up and being white and middle class. But I go to call for a committee, fucking crickets. I said, okay, well, I ain't gonna beat myself over the goddamn head. The same kind of effort that I would have put into building a campaign to make an impact on the city, I will do that same campaign and build a goddamn temple. Fuck y'all. You feel me? But I get demoralized every day because this shit is getting worse in this city. Every single solitary day, this shit is getting worse. And it is a preparation. It's not accidentally worse. It's deliberately worse. Because the fucking Olympics is in 2 years, and these motherfuckers in real time, in broad daylight, are trying to fucking ethnically cleanse this city again. That's what they're doing. And I'm telling you, in real time, there ain't a day you go where you are not seeing some outright, obvious, in your face display of genocidal assault in the form of, quote, policy and what do you call it? Policy and what is the word? Oh, what is the word? Ordinances, to call it everything but what it is. Outright, bold-faced, not even having to hide well. Genocidal ethnic cleansing that always happens at least 3 years prior to a fucking Olympics coming to a city. Name a city. And after that shit is done, thus that portion of the city most impacted never recovers. Never recovers. You gonna tell me what the hell I'm seeing in this city? 249,000 people. 249,000 people were evicted in the 4 years that this negress has been in office. She gonna tell y'all, we did such a good job in our 4 years. In our 4 years, we have permanently housed 7,000 people. Oh my God. And I hear some of you Negroes that don't live in this motherfucking city. Oh my God, Karen Bass is so wonderful. This monstrous motherfucker. And you ain't gonna tell me it's not a part of a deliberate and concerted plan. That Negro needed to be in office in this moment that would make it much more easy to facilitate a goddamn ethnic cleansing in this city. Do you know what I found out last week? I know this ain't what we talking about, but you know what I found out last week? Looking for these statistics about why these motherfuckers are trying to put me out of my apartment in 3 days. So I'm looking up all the statistics. I'm getting all the weaponry ready for my court date on Wednesday, right? And do you know what I found out? Shit. What was I gonna say? Anyway, child, S. Taylor 99. She don't even live here. She live in the Carolinas somewhere. There was just an article that came out this week about of all the people that were, quote, helped by this administration. 40% of them are homeless again. 40%, almost half. Guess what else happened? Another article came out the same week, this week. Like it was good news. I said, this shit is so violently disgusting that while this girl is all over the place touting these great victories of really making an impact on the homeless situation, that in an article written by this is more of a renegade kind of paper, because a billionaire owns the LA Times. A billionaire owns the LA Times. You feel me? And so in order to get some truly objective news, there are a bunch of independent newspapers here in the city. And so there's one I really like called LA Progressive. They will really write about shit nobody else is writing about. In this article, based on the city controller's statistics, still writing this as good news because at least it is is progress. You know what the progress was? Guess what the title of the article was? For the first time in years, there is a decrease in the statistics around death by homelessness. Death by homelessness. And I'm convinced them statistics is flawed because Karen Bass's first year in office, guess how many people died in 1 year? Her first year in office in the city, where their cause of death was listed as homelessness. Guess how many people died in her first year? Her first year being 2022. Guess. Just take a wild guess. How many people died in this goddamn city because they were homeless? While she talking about, in 4 years, we housed 7,000 people. Guess how many people died the first year? The first fucking year she was in office. 9,000 fucking human beings. 9,000 people. 9,000. 000. 9,000 people. According to the city's statistics, this ain't no random conspiracy theory. According to the city's statistics, 9,000 plus from homelessness in these city limits, not the county, in the city of Los Angeles. And so this article comes out this week talking about there's great news for the first time and we don't know how many years there's been a decline in the deaths by homelessness. Do you know what the decline that they are praising in this article? They say, which I find flaw, that only 1,200 people died last year of homelessness. Y'all lying. Y'all ain't go from no 9,000 people in 2022 to 1,200 in 2024 when the circumstances around the homelessness population in this city has only gotten worse. Y'all lying. What y'all did was make sure that these hospitals and these doctors give them a cause of death that is other than conditions of homelessness. That's what y'all did. 1,200? Y'all lying. They were like, this is the first time in so many years that the death by homelessness rate is about 7 people a day. Only 7 people a day now are dying from homelessness. Meanwhile, they don't even talk about the estimated 427 people that died just from the fires. Did y'all know that 479 people died from the fires? Did y'all know that? Almost 500 human beings died from the fires. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that why they giving y'all these bunk ass homelessness statistics talking about for the first time? No, they say for the second time in a row, for a second consecutive year, homelessness has decreased. Y'all are fucking lying. Why are y'all lying? Because it was estimated that 250,000 people, 250,000 people were displaced by the fires. Did you hear me? 75,000 buildings burnt to the ground in this bitch. Only 15 homes, period. 15, not 1,500, not 150. 15 homes have been rebuilt from 75,000 structures that burnt to the ground a year ago. 250,000 people displaced from their homes. And of that 250,000 last year displaced, do you know how many they say have got a place to live, a permanent place to live? Less than 13%. 78% of the people, of the 250,000 displaced last year by the fires, 250,000 displaced by the fires, 78% of them are still experiencing housing instability, meaning they are either couch surfing, they are living in hotels. There are still whole fucking families that I know personally that are still living in hotel rooms. Families of 4 and 5 living in one goddamn hotel room. Huh? 78% of them are still experiencing housing instability. So how you gonna tell me that for the second year in a row, the homelessness statistics have gotten better? Y'all are motherfucking lying. How have the homeless statistics gotten better? Because people are dying. That's why there ain't as many homeless people on the street, because people are dying. And so you ain't got to count them if they dead. This shit is so goddamn gross out here. Child, the grime. And everything is the issue but the issue. Homelessness is not caused by homeless people, bitch. Homelessness ain't caused by the homeless. Sure ain't. Never has been. Homelessness is not caused by the homeless. Homelessness is caused by the greedy. Homelessness is caused by thieves. Let me tell you what else I saw this morning. I know we up in here. Child, let me tell you what else I saw this morning. Y'all remember a month ago, 2 months ago? It was 2 months ago when the fat, nasty, rat, bastard Jewish lawyer in New York that had for years, 13 years, been what they call mortgage theft. Is that what they call it? Deed theft. This motherfucker, as a lawyer, a bar certified lawyer, was using his position as a lawyer to draw up documents to deliberately confuse and swindle exclusively black. Ain't that about a bitch? Exclusively black homeowners who still own property and homes in New York, Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, holdouts, if you will. Holdouts to gentrification. They like, fuck it. I don't give a fuck what happening. I'm keeping my shit. I'm keeping our family shit. We work for this shit. And so this motherfucker, because we constantly, it's a whole thing we gonna have to do, man. We gonna have to do it. And everybody's scared and tiptoeing around the sensibilities of Jewish people. They gonna have to come motherfucking correct. Everything ain't goddamn anti-Semitism. I could go a whole lifetime and never hear that word again, because everything ain't that. When we make a critique of your parasitic fucking behavior, not conspiracy, not what y'all call it, what's that shit y'all call it? Stereotypes. It ain't a stereotype when a goddamn fucking lawyer can go exclusively to Jewish judges to deliberately steal the deeds of only black homeowners in areas of New York that they are quote trying to successfully gentrify, to draw up documents and shit, and then go and steal the deeds from these people. And the accusations, oh my God, the accusations from this one lawyer. This is just one lawyer. The accusations for this one lawyer was that he has successfully stolen the deeds of 350 black home owners. One woman said she had been fighting 13 years to regain possession of that which was stolen from her under the auspice of jargony ass legal processes. 13 years. And so this one lawyer, there were 350 charges brought against him. He was only found guilty of 20. Of the 20 that he was found guilty of, the property value of just the 20. So the other people, the other 330, they was just shit out of luck. But the 20 that he was found guilty of, the value of the properties, collective value of the properties that he stole, that he swindled, was what? $26 million? No, it was more than that. Because it was almost $1 million. It was like $1.5 million per house that he stole, of the 20 that he was found guilty of. So he was sentenced to a bunk ass number of years. I think it was like 15 years he was sentenced to. This was just over the last couple of months. He was sentenced to a couple of like 5 years or something like that. Sentenced to 5 years, something crazy like that. And baby, this was actually right before the holidays, as a matter of fact, because I just saw an article 3 days ago saying that after 3 months in prison, they released him from fucking prison and put him on house arrest with an ankle monitor after he done stole upwards of $26 million worth of homes from exclusively black folks, at least the families that were able to get justice, what looked like justice in the court. Huh? And so while in Palestine, they can just roll up on your shit and say, this is my house now. Here, they use jargon, bitch. They use law, bitch. They use law. And so you feel like you can't fight back because it is the law. Here they use law to do exactly the same thing. To rob you blind, to gentrify every community you have ever lived in and erase the memory of that community from the collective consciousness. You never even know this used to be all black people. You don't even know the language and the whole culture that emerged from that community. Who, if they ain't from New York, didn't grow up in New York at a specific period of time in the 5 boroughs, would even know what I'm talking about what's that mean? What's 5 boroughs? Cause ain't no black people there no more. So even the language that emerged out of this relationship among black people in the different boroughs, a whole culture, a whole language eradicated. If that don't sound like Palestine, I don't know what does. Every city that you can name has a whole history of black excellence, black prosperity, black abundance with that required community to be together, eradicated from cultural, social, historical memory. You have to do that if you intend to rob said community blind and it be somehow justified in the collective consciousness. This shit is happening in real time. I keep telling y'all, nobody in this city talks about these 650,000 fucking, that's what I was going to talk to you about. The 650,000 black people that have just mysteriously vanished from the city of Los Angeles over the last 20 years. To this day, nobody utters a word about the disappearance of 650,000 black people. That's not my opinion. That's what these goddamn censuses be talking about. The local census, the county census, the state census, and the federal census from the year 2000 to the year 2022 or 24 when the last census was taken. Where the fuck 650,000 black people just left LA? Do you think they just left LA? Where is the wealth that those 650,000 people were producing in the city? Where are the homes that a great majority of them own? Who possesses them now and the wealth attached to those goddamn homes? How the fuck you live in a city that's got, what was it, 49 billionaires? 49 billionaires in this bitch. And 259,000 millionaires, and more than half of them are what they call centimillionaires or centillionaires or whatever the fuck they call them now, where your ass is a millionaire and you got more than, I think it's like $100 million. 259,000, and you don't think that there is a dialectic connection between the extraordinary amassing of wealth by the already wealthy and the necessary driving out of those producers of wealth and owners of wealth in the black community. This is what I was going to tell you. The article that I read this week that still got me in my emotions. That in 1964, what we call Crenshaw District, right here, South Central LA, Crenshaw District in particular, right? That in 1964, 93% of Crenshaw District, South Central LA, 93% of South Central was black. Every home in South Central was owned by black people. They were not renters. They were owners. 93%. The article was saying, because this is an election period for the city, so all like judges are being elected, city council people throughout the districts are being elected, the mayor's being elected. This is a huge election year, completing itself in June. I just saw an article the other day that said that for the first time since 1964 in South Central, because South Central is its own district, so it has its own city council, that for the first time since 1964, there will be no Black people on the city council for South Central. For the first time since 1964, there will be no, that's 12 seats. There will be no Black people, because there's no Black people running and there's no Black people currently that are incumbents. That for the first time since 1964, there will be no Black people on the city council of the blackest district in the country, South Central LA. Huh? And they're saying, how could this happen? This is what the article is saying. How could this happen? That for the first time since 1964, there is no Black representation on the state's blackest district. How could this happen? And so they start talking about the demographic changes of South Central LA since 1964. And up until the year 2000, Black people were still the majority in South Central. Up until the year 2000, Black people were still the majority, the super majority in South Central. And from 2000 to 2024, every single solitary year, every year of all, this is the most diverse city in the country. Yes, it is, Los Angeles. That across all demographics, including Alaskan Americans, that among every demographic in the city of Los Angeles, every demographic experienced population growth except the Black community. The Black community, every single solitary year without interruption, is the only community in the city of Los Angeles that every single solitary year experienced a decline in its population every year. The only population every year for 24 years. Mum's the word in this bitch. Can't nobody understand why it's gotten so boring. Can't nobody understand why culture looks so radically different for the worse. Can't nobody understand why good music is not dominating. Can't nobody understand, quote, the so-called, this is not my assessment, that people are calling it the whiteification of Hollywood. Like it just happened in a vacuum. Like it just happened in a vacuum. These monstrous motherfuckers using policy, using law, using the police force as their own personal security unit, have disappeared strategically and patiently. And death by 1,000 paper cuts, death by 1,000,000 paper cuts, have strategically disappeared 650,000 Black people. As a matter of fact, the last thing the article said is in 1964, the Black population of South Central was 93%. Today, why there is not going to be a single Black city council person for the blackest district in the state is because today, that same community, that same district that was 93% Black owned, 93% Black population, 90% of the homes owned by Black skinned people, today 81% of that same district is Mexican. 81%. 81%. 81% is Mexican. Mom's the word. As long as I got my one Negro friend, everything is right in the world. I do not see the radical disappearance of more than 500,000 human beings and cannot figure out why I am living in a city that is in a perpetual state of boredom, a perpetual state of this flimsy excuse for revolutionary culture and consciousness. When I first got here, I didn't understand what I was witnessing, what I was experiencing as a political activist in this city until I ran this white woman's campaign and started. The first thing we started doing, I said, I need a crash course in the history of Los Angeles. So I pulled together my little research team. I said, okay, these are y'all assignments. I need to know how the demographics of this city has changed since the last Black mayor left office. That was in 1982. From 1982 to today, I need to know every single year how the demographics in this city has changed. That was the first assignment. And I'm thinking, it's going to take them a couple of weeks. All of them were Jewish. Baby, within 48 hours, I had a whole beautifully laid out statistical analysis of how the demographics have changed from 1982 to 2022 at the time when this white woman was running. I said, and in that instant, every quote, what I thought was just a social phenomenon, everything made sense. Everything made sense. Everything made sense. Anyway, it's a soapbox, obviously. It's not a soapbox. It is a declaration of dire emergency, dire urgency that you are not hearing anybody talk about. And to take this back to our, let me just say what I was going to say about Mark's punk ass, and then take us back to this card because it all blends so well. In the section called Marx and the Matriarchy, she talks about, the failures of, these quote, great thinkers, these smarties. Feel me? These smarties. Right? Let's see. She says, we now know that similar evidence can be found all over the world. For example, many kinship systems distinguish between the biological father of a child and the social father, who is usually the mother's brother or some other male relative. The social father is considered to be the real father in these societies. Identity and inheritance are passed along through the female bloodlines. But pioneers that they were, neither Morgan, Ingalls, nor Marx were fully aware of the women's real functions and achievements in past cultures, nor were they tuned into the total gestalt of early peoples. With Marx and Ingalls, and in particular with their dogmatic interpreters and followers, a narrowing of focus to strictly economic and class analysis has totally obscured the original human state of being, which was more profoundly spiritual than economic. This Marxist narrowing of focus and its consequent denial of human spiritual experience has had tragic repercussions throughout the world. How did this happen? Karl Marx, Engels as well, was a deeply compassionate man in his quote, opium of the people statement, which is never fairly quoted, is evidence of his compassion. Quote, this is a quote from Karl Marx. Religious distress is at the same time the expression of real distress. Listen. Is your ears open? Is your ears open? Okay? Listen. On this day where I'm going off and didn't even intend to go off like this. Listen to what Karl Marx had to say, that they always conveniently fuck up the quote to get you up on some dumb shit. They did it to me. You feel me? Listen to what the whole quote say. Religious distress today? Listen. Let me mark the date. What's the date? 4/6/26. Religious distress is at the same time the expression of real distress and the protest against real distress. What does this mean? I was born and raised in Cali. Let's see. They don't like real people. California has no soul anymore. Not the same. I was born and raised in Cali and I left. Cali is in the lowest chakra of the earth. Yes, earth also has a chakra. Okay. These people are destroying the mother in her earth. They better watch their step. Listen, I have an opinion about that, but I'm going to keep on. What is he talking about here? When he says that religious distress is at the same time the expression of real distress and the protest against real distress. What is he saying? He's saying what we're witnessing. that when shit gets really, 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 really bad, politically, when shit gets really, 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 really bad, economically, when shit gets really, 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 really bad, financially, our default in our training is to jump both feet first back into religion. Typically, the oppressive, fucked up religions of our youth that were imposed on us. You feel me? If the shit gets bad enough, this is a political strategy, by the way, that he recognized in making this statement almost 100 years ago. This is a political strategy that she talks about in this chapter. You feel me? Religious distress. Listen, people are seeking some reprieve. People are seeking something that feels familiar and safe, even though it is killing them. Religious distress is at the same time the expression of real distress and the protest against real distress. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature. Oh my God. Listen, religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of the heartless world, just as it is the spirit of a spiritless situation. That's why Pope Leo XIV, bitches. That's why in the midst of all out brigandage, every time you see him speak, it is this soft spirited, jargony-esque presentation about the criminality of war and how Jesus was a God of peace and sanctity, and war is in direct opposition of Jesus. Every time you turn around, this Negro adjacent Pope that you all love, and they did that shit on purpose. This Negro adjacent Pope who is the first of his kind in many ways and is the first and only Pope to come from North America, playing the fuck out of y'all. Playing global good cop, bad cop. He and his Negro adjacent self becomes the face of the male mother, making soft-hearted declarations of the need for peace, while sternly chastising her son, who is the son gone rogue in his presentation as Donald J. Trump. Proverbial global good cop, bad cop bullshit in your face in real time. So she say here, well, he continues to say that religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, just as it is the spirit of a spiritless situation. It is the opium of the masses. The demand to give up the illusions about its condition is the demand to give up the condition that needs illusions in the first place. Criticism has plucked the imaginary flowers from the chain, not so that men will wear the chain without any fantasy or consolation, but so that they will break the chain and cull the living flower. That's a hell of a statement. Whoa, shit. That is so much more deep and profound than the bullshit I was taught and care to read for myself of, quote, oh, religion is the opium of the masses, so fuck all religion. That ain't what he said right here. That ain't what he said. That ain't what he said. He said religion is the opium of the masses. And the demand is to give up the illusion about the conditions that, the conditions is demand to give up the conditions that needs illusions in the first place. That needs illusions in the first place. What I was saying all the way back when I was reading this card about goddamn survival, fuck perseverance, and what they call stick-with-itness and fortuitousness and all of that bullshit that we would need in the world if we were allowed access to our bounty. He's like, how about give up the conditions that demand illusions in the first place? Criticism has plucked the imaginary flowers from the chain. Not so our criticism of religion. That's what he's saying. Our criticism of religion is so that we can pluck the imaginary flowers from the chain, not so that men will wear the chain without any fantasy or consolation. He ain't say we trying to make people's lives worse. He said we pluck the imaginary flower from the chain so that they will break the chain. They will. Religion is the imaginary flower that affords for us to live comfortably with the fucking chain. Keep the chain as long as it's got flowers woven in it. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. He said the criticism has plucked the imaginary flower from the chain, not so that men will wear the chain without any fantasy or consolation. We ain't telling people to be more miserable by giving up religion. We said we pluck the imaginary chain from the flower so that they will break the fucking chain and call the living flower. He didn't say give up religion. He didn't say that. That's not what he said here. That's not what he said here. He said, if your religion serves revolution, bitch, then right on. That's what he said right there. That's what he said. But people so dogmatic, and they're dogmatic for a reason. They're dogmatic deliberately. They're dogmatic in a way that will keep us tied to some fucking machine, whether it is a capitalist machine or whether it's a communist machine or whether it's a socialist fucking machine. That's why dogmatism still exists in socialist, nationalist, cultural nationalist, communist spaces. And you can't ever seem to have a reasonable goddamn conversation with a so-called political scientist, is because they do not care for themselves to read what the man actually said. He didn't say stomp out the flower. He said criticize and pluck the imaginary flower. That's what he said right here. He said criticize and pluck the imaginary flower. We don't need no fake ass flowers fronting like it's giving us some oxygen in our apartment. He said what we need to do is clean the space and clear the space with real flowers. He said, cull the living flower. That's what he said. He said, you can experience true spirituality as a liberated human being, but you can't experience no true fucking spirituality, no true religion that nourishes the soul if your ass is bound by chains and woven in the chains of some fake ass, phony ass, footboy ass flowers, some bullshit that don't feed you in no way, but in fact may fucking poison your ass to death. That's what he said. Yeah, as many times as I've read this book, that paragraph speaks so differently today than it has every other time that I've read this book. He said that shit. And even as Mark said this shit was still incapable of coming to the right conclusion. Oh, ain't that something? Is that because that's what she's saying here? She's like, damn. She said, how did this happen? What she called this Marxist narrowing of focus and its consequent denial of the complete human spiritual experience. It has had tragic repercussions throughout the world. To this day, 100 fucking years later. How did this happen? Because Karl Marx and Engels as well were deeply compassionate people. His opium of the people statement, which is never fairly quoted, is the evidence of the depth of his compassion. He said, we ain't out here trying to make people's lives miserable by taking their religion away from them. He said, the criticism that we are making is to pluck the imaginary flower from the chain, not so that men will wear the chain without fantasy or consolation, without something that gives them some solace in a terrible situation. Because what did he say the terrible situation is? He said, religious distress is at the same time the expression of real distress and protest against real distress, not against wars of principalities and bullshit, not distress off the fuck in the abyss somewhere. No, religion is the false ass, fake ass prescription to neutralize you, to put your ass to sleep, to make your ass walk through the world in a goddamn waking fucking coma. Religious distress is at the same time the expression of real distress and our spirits protest against real distress in the material world, in the actual day-to-day lived experience of human beings. That's what he said. That's what he recognized 100 years ago. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of the heartless world. And let me tell you one more thing about this statement right here that he says that religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature. No, the fuck it ain't. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed human. Period. Because unlike every other animal, every creature, he talking about the oppressed creature. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature. Because unlike humans, every other creature on earth is still about their right mind. Sure enough, every creature on earth is still bucking the fuck back. Every creature on earth is still fighting for their fucking lives. Don't have no reason other than to live. Other than to live. Bitch, I'm here and it's my right to live. And if I need to slay you to live, that's what I'm gonna do, said the lion. That's what I'm gonna do, said the giraffe. That's what I'm gonna do, said the elephant. I am so invigorated by them stories of elephants having such a long memory that when some never forgetting the face of somebody that oppressed them and will not only seek them out, will travel on foot hundreds of miles to dance on the grave of a bitch that oppressed me. I love these stories. Will stomp her house into the ground to make sure. So every creature, religion ain't the side of the oppressed creature, bitch. He was wrong about that 100 years ago. Religion is the side of the oppressed human who has been so split apart from himself that he will deny his flesh the right by birth to fight like hell to defend his life. It is that's the prescription of religion. Religion is the prescription for the bourgeoisie. Religion is the prescription for the captor. Religion is the prescription for the fucking church. Religion is the prescription for the fucking mosque. Religion is the prescription for the goddamn the synagogue. Religion is the prescription to make sure that the giants that are your children will never do what their natural little baby spirits are inclined to do, which is to rebel every time something don't feel right in their little baby flesh. And you tell them, stop, don't do that. You can't say that. Be quiet. Children are to be seen, not to be heard. Your children are your greatest allies, if truth be told. Your children are your greatest allies. And you fall right in line to be the disseminator of the prescription for the fucking bourgeoisie. You fall right the fucking line with denying your baby's sovereignty. You fall right the fucking line. Yes, you do. With making sure your baby take this spoon full of sugar so that the medicine that's killing you can go down easy. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So he goes on to say, right, that religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart in a heartless world, just as it is the spirit of a spiritless situation. It is the opium of the masses. To demand, the demand to give up the illusion about its conditions is demand to give up a condition that needs illusions in the first place. Thank you for the donation, as Taylor 99. And let me just go ahead and put that out again because I'm dropping mad heat on y'all ass today, so y'all can feel so inclined to support the work of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence in these myriad of ways. Go to the DaughterOfTheFates.etsy.com to get yourself some dope ass books, to get yourself some dope ass spiritual tools. Thank you so much, Java Washington, for your donation. To get yourself some spiritual tools, to get yourself some fly ass jewelry that I'm always supporting of my own creations. You feel me? So get yourself some jewelry on DaughterOfTheFates.etsy.com. That's Fates as FATES. DaughterOfTheFates.etsy.com. My email address is EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com. You can use that email address to make a Zelle donation or a PayPal donation. Cashapp is Daughter of the Fates, FATES. Venmo is Cassandra-Floyd. That's CASSANDRA-FLOYD. Also, you can use the email address EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com to book a divination, either 30 minutes or 30 minutes or 60 minutes. And I will email you to tell you how you can book your session. And also you can do like these sisters have done. And if you're tuning in via the live on YouTube, you can do super chat, super thanks, and the like. And for those of you that are on IG, you can become a subscriber to my YouTube channel, which is my primary outreach for the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, which is use my name. Oh, thank you for the donation, Spiritually Flexy. And I love emojis. I love dancing ass, cute ass emojis. Okay. I don't know. It's like the baby in me. It still lifts my spirit every time I see a little dancing ass emoji. I love it. So what was I saying? Yes, 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 yes. And somebody asked earlier, and I am so appreciative of that suggestion, which I was eventually going to make, but since you made it before, who was it that said that? I think it was, shoot, make yourself known, because it's way back in the comment section. But somebody suggested, can you pre-order the zine that I am working on? The deadline that I've set for myself for the zine. Let me look at my calendar. I have a deadline for the zine and the website. Let's see. Where did I have that at? Today is the 6th. Today's the 6th. Yeah, the deadline is the 20th. Is Monday the 20th. That is the deadline for the release of the zine. So the zine I'm gonna release in two different ways. I am going to release as a print, as like what you see, right? A print base. Oh, sorry, you guys on IG. As a print-based version of the zine. Stuck it to get it out of the way. Oh, here it is. So those of you who were not on earlier, so I'm doing a handwritten zine. I'm excited about it. So this is the front page of it. This is the logo of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Some of y'all can see it in the background here. That's the painting. That's the big giant painting of it. So this is the logo of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, and the zine is going to function as my first book, my first published book, and it's also going to serve as the first document to tell you all about the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, why the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, the vision, the mission of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. We have chapters: crowning the crone, welcoming the goddess, a discussion on newborns to preteens, the bleeding healer. This is talking about the onset of menstruation for young girls and how to deal with that, not deal with it, how to honor and uphold that, and a bunch of other stuff around that. Revealing the true shapeshifter. This is about the moment when a woman goes from maiden to mother, and all that goes into that. Revealing of symbols, and food for thought, and welcoming. Oh, what was that calling? Welcoming the return of the prodigal son. So that is going to be the zine. I'm hella hype about it. I'm already well into it. And I'm going to release that in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to release it two ways: as a print piece that you can purchase, because I have a friend that's already on deck to print it out for me. And then also I'm going to do it as a digital version as well that you can purchase. So yes, to whoever, shout yourself out. I don't remember who said that, but yes, I will be making it available for pre-order. That's great. Thank you so much for that. Hold on. God, it's hot in here. Oh, no wonder I didn't turn my fan on. I see all of y'all up in the house. Okay. Yes, y'all need that, because I'm going to be giving away good shit. All them notes I be taking, all them breakthroughs I be having, all this shit I'm figuring out. And it's going to have a book page, like suggested book page. So all the shit that I'm constantly, quote, referring to is going to be in there too. So do me in blessed 0789. This is a fertile ground to sow seeds. I will be joining the Patreon. I'm still working on. If somebody has insight about Patreon, please email me so I do not have to reinvent the wheel. Maybe you can, because I've already got the page set up. If you can provide some guidance or some help around my Patreon, anybody that is familiar with Bandcamp, I'm trying to put some shit on Bandcamp. Like, these things I need help with. Okay. And if y'all can make the tech work more direct and less complicated, awesome. Email me so we can get this motherfucker popping already. Okay. So that's that. All right. So let me go ahead and finish reading this, and then we're going to talk about the rest of these cards, and then I'm going to get up off of here. All right. So after he says, yes, it is to what? The criticism has plucked the imaginary flower from the chains, not so that men will wear the chain without any fantasy or consolation. Oh, Lord. Oh my God. Remember, I was going off about the last time I did a live, as a matter of fact, about how one of my greatest ambitions is to compile a list of diabolically evil, monstrous, quote, studies of the past and recreate these studies from the perspective of females, from the perspective of people of color, from the perspective of people who are in a harmonious relationship in alignment with the goddess, and how those studies and their hypothesis will need to change, and how the outcome, the results of the study will change based on the perspective of the researcher conducting the study. That's not far-fetched. That's not far-fetched. That's why there's no such thing as somebody gonna be mad. There is no such, right now with the way the world is, there is no such thing as objective science. That shit is an illusion. That shit is fucking make-believe. Because if you have a bunch of Nazis conducting studies using the scientific method, is it objective? Anyway, and the reason I said that is because it says criticism has plucked the imaginary flower from the chain, not so that men will wear the chain without any fantasy or consolation. And what that reminded me of was last week. Oh, hey, Madeline. Wow, dang. What that reminded me of was when I was talking last week about the Hope study and how monstrous, diabolical that study is. And how people were being inspired by this study last year blew my skull. It blew my mind. People, all these colored folks. Thank you for the dancing emojis. I love it. Thank you for bidding 190 for the donation. But how all these colored people in particular were talking about, oh my God, the hope study. It just shows us how much we can endure if we have hope. The fuck? Why should a rat have to endure? And I was wrong, by the way. I needed to make a correction. Did you know? I thought it was 16 hours. Remember, the hope study was when they take the rat, right? And put the rat in the goddamn water and see how long the rat will tread water before giving up and drowning. And on average, it was about 15 minutes that the rat would tread water before finally giving up and drowning. So then they took another set of rats and put the rats in the water and made them tread the water for the typically 15 minutes that they would tread water before they give up hope. And just before the rat drowned, the big great white hand and the great white coat and the great white glove would go down and pick the rat up out of the water, dry the rat off, give it something to eat, warm it up, give it some time to rest. You hear me? And take that same rat that you done gave all this love to, you done rescued the rat, gave it all this love, the food and all of this shit, and then put the rat back in the water to see how long the rat will tread water. And I thought it was 16 hours. I was wrong. I went back and rewatched the video. That same rat treaded water for 60 fucking hours. 60. 2 days without water or food, treading water with the idea in its mind that something was going to rescue it, something was going to save it. And if I just hang on a little longer, something is going to come and rescue me. I went back after I talked to y'all about it because I was like, damn, 16 hours sound like a long time. That don't sound right. I'm thinking I'm exaggerating with the 16 hours. Girl, I went back and watched several interpretations of that study. That study has been repeated so many fucking times. And I'm thinking maybe I'm exaggerating because I'm so mad about how monstrous the study is. 60 goddamn hours that rat tread. That's human. That's superhuman. Perseverance, resilience, stick-wittedness, fortuitousness and shit. all with the idea in your mind that somebody is going to rescue you. Somebody is going to come and save you. And they call it the hope study. That if you just have a little bit of hope, you can accomplish the unimaginable. Who should have to bear that kind of torture and torment to tread water for 60 hours with no food and no water, relying on an idea, a myth, that some benevolent something is coming to rescue you? And what is the purpose of a monstrous study like that? It is to do exactly what Marx witnessed right here 100 years ago. What he knew, what he saw was coming. Not what he saw is coming, but he could look to the recent past and say, this is what has happened. This is the role the goddamn Roman Catholic Church has played perpetually in Europe. This is the role that Jewish ideology, Judaism, has played on the other side in Europe. We can see in real time these institutions are one and the same. This is the role that Protestantism, we think, and so many people got hoodwinked by that shit. So many Europeans got hoodwinked by goddamn, what's his name? Martin Luther staging a contest against the Roman Catholic Church, thinking that this motherfucker was going to represent something different, something hopeful. They talked about Martin Luther's hatred of the working class, hatred of the peasantry, hatred of the serf. And yet they were the ones who stood behind him to secure what has been a perpetual and ongoing campaign called Protestantism, seen in its origin as something that was going to fight for the poor, fight for the oppressed, represent a contest against this organization that had rained an unebbed holy hell on Europe from 325 AD to 1518, when Martin Luther tapped his little 95 Theses on the door of the German Catholic Church. And all he did was deepen and better conceal their suffering. That's all he did. That's all he did. You understand? And so here is where hope studies come in, rat studies come in. What they call it, the rat park experiment. Who do you think that is for? What do you think these studies are there to do? Exactly what's happening to you today. That these billionaires can rob you blind, and you know it's theft. And the greatest declaration that you can make in opposition to billionaires is tax the rich. Bitch, what? That's the most gangster thing you can say, is tax the rich. That's the most revolutionary you can be, is on bullshit. Who seeded these ideas in your skull? The rich? Tax the rich. What? Eat the rich. Who came up with that? The state, bitch. Feed you what? Distractions. Feed you some bullshit that they know will never yield anything. What? You are distressed as a human being, just like this card was saying. Just like this card was saying. What did it say? What's the card say? Did you sacrifice your own well-being to serve someone else's will? Yes, the fuck you did. When your ass is distressed every day, heavy in your spirit every day, seeing the monstrous behavior of malignant males around the earth, massacring babies and broadcasting that shit on 24-hour rotation like modern snuff films, and convince you that you need to see it every day because you need to be aware of what's happening in the world. Like somehow what you're seeing on rotation in plain sight every day is not what people have been experiencing consistently for 2,000 years at the same degree, to the same gravity. Every day. Every single solitary day for at least 2,000 years. Now, for the first time in human history, you can see the death, despair, brigandage, murder, chaos supreme on repeat and rotation all day, every day, under the auspice of, quote, having access to information so that we can be aware of what's happening in the world and still not do a motherfucking thing. And these motherfuckers can see some bullshit into your collective consciousness, like tax the rich. Can seed some shit into your collective consciousness, like eat the rich. Can see some bullshitting ass bullshit into the collective consciousness, like I'm gonna take my ass outside and face off with the police unarmed, talking about no King's Day. Huh? Well, at the same side of your skull, you can big up the French Revolution. They was really about that life. They ain't have access to the internet. So didn't. They ain't have no telephones, no telegrams, none of that bullshit. You know that the French Revolution happened the same year that the American Revolution happened, right? You know that the Haitian Revolution happened the same year. That shit was happening all at the same time. While the French was over there fighting the bourgeoisie, while the United States was, quote, fighting against the king and empire, and while the Africans in Haiti was slicing and dicing the French was over there pulling out the guillotines, going bum rushing the castles, and dragging everybody the fuck up, including they king, bum rushing them motherfuckers and dragging everybody the fuck up out them goddamn castles, and saying, okay, we having court on the spot in the street. What say you, people who have been the victims of the bourgeoisie, working in factories where your babies start working in the factories at the age of 5, getting maimed and dismembered and shit in these factories? Don't y'all know that's what A Christmas Story is about? It's about this period. It's about that period. Ebenezer Scrooge, who had little tiny Tims working in the goddamn factories and shit while he living high off the hog, and they was getting fed one bowl of porridge a day. Sound familiar, don't it? In goddamn Liberia right now today, in the rubber plantations that give you all your fly ass tires on your car today, right now today. Children are being worked in these motherfucking rubber plantations and being paid 2 bowls of rice a day for their labor. That's today. But as long as you can have your fly ass tires with your fly ass rims, bitch. I mean, this show is terrible what's happening over there to them black peoples that look just like my mama. And so, unlike you, and y'all keep talking about the French, man. Every time these people in power in France try to pull some okey doke, try to pull some slide ass shit, the one thing them French people gonna do, regardless of their hatred of black people, regardless of the race dynamics, all them French people gonna go toe to toe with the state. Y'all say that shit every time some shit go off in France, and France don't be playing. When they was trying to do what they do effortlessly here in terms of the farm workers in France, and the farm workers is like, oh, you trying to steal our land? You trying to take our livelihood? Okay, we got something for your ass. And all them motherfucking farmers started driving their tractors full of manure and dumping it on the city hall, city councils, the city council steps and shit. Started going to motherfuckers' private addresses and dumping giant tractor loads of shit on their front lawn, on their front steps. And they overturned that shit in 48 hours. Y'all like, damn, friends don't be hesitating. They'll burn a bitch down. Every time you turn around, some shit on fire in France. Like, oh, what y'all say y'all trying to do behind closed doors while we ain't watching? Oh, bitch, we see you. Burn some shit. But they got to remember. They got to recognize we don't play that shit. We'll pull out the goddamn guillotines on you motherfuckers again. Don't be trying us like that out here. Using jargony ass bullshit to try to get the fuck up over on us. And y'all still admire the French for that shit. Yet, here we are today in the United States of America. What'd he say? Subdued in the stench of dead ass flowers, lifeless ass flowers. That's what we is. Subdued by trinketry. Subdued by trinketry. And so these motherfuckers can rob you blind. These motherfuckers ain't no less diabolical and monstrous than the outright rabid ass bourgeoisie of old ass France. who them crackers hightailed it out of Europe to escape, to come over here and reproduce the same monstrous, barbaric ass shit. And here we are today. Y'all can talk about the Great Revolution. This year is the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution. Surely is. Y'all ain't said shit off. Y'all talking about some motherfucking No King's Day. Bitch, what? Y'all talking about tax the rich. I saw a piece today about all estimates of 3,500 black people's homes who have been stolen in the last 13 years in New York. 3,500. The one white boy stole 350. 3,500 black people's homes robbed from them. And then the two Jews who are talking about it, who faking like they progressive Jews, like all Jews don't do this kind of terrible stuff. This dude, y'all better recognize sleight of hands. Y'all better recognize sleight of hands. I'm going to share this video with y'all. These two Jews sat there doing this video about how awful and terrible it is. They even said it is no different than what has happened to the Palestinians with the robbing of just these two Jewish white boys said that. It is no different than what the Palestinians have been enduring under these fucking Zionists. They're going off. You know, all Jews aren't Zionists. And as a matter of fact, it's Zionism that's the anti-Semites, because they're out here making it hard for the rest of us good Jews to live. And they going off like they really about that life. I'm telling you about the fucking perpetual use of sleight of hands on you. Good cop, bad cop bullshit on you. And recognizing the language when they trying to pull an okie doke on you. This white boy sat up on here talking about how distressed they were to see that this was happening, how all of these black people's homes have been taken, and this is outright gentrification. This is no different than the theft of homes in Palestine, running down the line, these two Jewish white boys. And then guess what one of them did? He was like, the one guy was like, well, how does this even happen? How can something like this even happen in America? I don't even how do you steal a home? So the other guy just happens to be ready to answer in great detail this question. Well, the way that this is able to happen is typically what will happen is these people will be scouring the internet for people who are old, people who are disabled, people whose mortgages are completely paid off, zero mortgage. They'll seek people that are vulnerable, people who don't have a hard understanding of law, seek them out online, look for any kind of weaknesses in their credit score or anything like that. Create fake personas. He's basically giving a detailed one-by-one detail of how somebody else can do the shit. And when I say detailed, I mean, you'll seek out a judge that, you will seek out a judge. What he's saying is what they'll do is they'll typically seek out judges who are like Jewish. These are two Jewish boys talking about this now, just this morning. They'll seek out judges that are Jewish and that are favorable. And then they will go and submit falsified documents. They will go and get reproductions of their identity and say that they represent this client. These are lawyers. That they represent this client and the client wants to sell, or they'll get all the details. They'll go by and steal mail out of the houses of the people so that they can have all of their information. They will walk through the communities at night and take mail at their mailbox so that they can have all of their information, draw up official looking documents so that they have everything that they need. They can get new Social Security cards. He was basically, when I be talking about dog whistles that y'all don't reckon, that motherfucking shit was a dog whistle specifically for a set community to teach them how they too can rob houses. I don't give a fuck. I don't know who these two white boys were, but there was so much language in what they were saying. So for the layperson who don't know no better, they're like, see, these one of the good Jews. You feel me? These one of the good guys who just trying to put us up on game about what to look for. And this, I was like, no, bitch, no the fuck. They ain't. They have mastered the art of good cop, bad cop. of victim and villain and shit. They have mastered it. And the problem is to their victim, they want to always make us the villain. That's how they have been able to always gain proximity to us as Black people, rob us blind, not just of actual monetary wealth, of culture. Every single cultural catastrophe of the last 120 years, who was the one? We say, well, white folks just take over all our shit and just reproduce our shit. But who is it though? Who, yeah, skinned it, but who is it though? Who took over jazz? Was it WASP? What do y'all know what a WASP is? A WASP is a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Was it a WASP? Was it WASPs that took over jazz? To this day, who is it that are the primary purveyors and keepers of the lost art of jazz? Everywhere in this country right now, every station that plays jazz here, every local public radio station, is always a Jewish man or a Jewish woman who is the expert on jazz. Isn't that something? It's not just now, even during the age. Who was it? Every last one of these Negroes that you talking about was great jazz musicians. And why they always marry white women? They weren't just always marrying white women. They were not marrying white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. No, they was not. Go down the list of great jazz musicians. I know them all because I love them all. I'm like, damn, how all these niggas end up with Jewish white women? How they do that? Didn't your beloved Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. have an affair with a Jewish woman? They said, oh, she's just a white woman. Huh? How is it? How is it? And so everybody tiptoeing around the shit because of some big bad fucking scary word. Some big bad scary word. Because your ass still feel guilty because you believe in Jesus. Your ass feel guilty, so you always want to liken your struggle with their struggle, because you still feel guilty because you still believe, like your good preacher taught you, that slavery had to happen because of what we did to them Jewish people. You feel me? Back in Egypt, it was Negroes that enslaved the Jews back there in Egypt and shit. And even one of the white boys said, "Oh, shots fired," but they desperate. They're desperate in their attempt to maintain a hegemony over the narrative. Because even one of these so-called appalled good Jews who just wants to look out for the interest, one of the Jews lived in Bed-Stuy. Well, bitch, don't you know Bed-Stuy used to be Black? Why are you talking about gentrification and, oh my God, these Jewish Zionists are stealing all these Black people's homes? You know what they said? I said, God damn, these motherfuckers is desperate. You know what he said? This white boy, this Jewish white boy from Bed-Stuy said, well, it's just what Jews do. That's what he said. This Jewish boy talking about anti-Semitism and all of this stuff. And these type of Jews that be giving a bad name to all the other Jews and this and that and this and that, right? And he said, what did he say? He said, isn't it interesting that they keep telling this story about the 109 times? I'd never even heard this till today, but it took a Jewish boy who was schooled in the Talmud to put himself on blast. He said, they always telling this story about the 109 times they have been forced out of different nations, and never say why they forced out. Always tell you some shit about how it's about this is my jam. that's my alarm clock going off, but that's my jam. About this, what he said. He said they don't never tell you why they've been forced out of 109 nations over these eons, but they want to tell you that it's persecution for their religious beliefs, that it's because they chosen and nobody else is, the so-called Gentiles, the so-called Goyim. This is what they talking about. These two Jewish boys. So this is not my opinion. My opinion is deeper than theirs. This is not my opinion. I'm not reciting to you my opinion. I'm telling you what two Jewish men who still were talking about, anti-Semitism and why these people are making it so difficult for us to live and how we fear for our lives and all of this shit, was because it's people like this stealing people's homes and seeding gentrification right here in America. And then that white boy proceeded to, he had documents on his screen, a step-by-step protocol on how to steal some black person's home. That's what he did. You ain't gonna have me believe otherwise. I said, why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? He's saying that it's under the auspice of helping people understand what to look for and how it is their homes get stolen. Bitch, you lying. You lying. They can't even lie good no more. Because see, when everybody believed the Bible, when everybody black believed the Bible, unquestioningly, then we all experience this collective guilt of supposedly about what some Egyptians did some 4,000 years ago to the poor victimized Hebrews, aka Hyksos, because there was no such thing as a Hebrew. The Hyksos flip the story upside down because that's not what happened. As a matter of, and they still on Passover every year. They still, and what's the other thing they do around Christmas time, Hanukkah every year, be saying these prayers about thanking God for rescuing them from the evil ass Egyptians that was holding them hostage. And every archaeologist and every anthropologist says there is no evidence other than a single book written by an unknown author that ever happened. There is, we can go around the world to places in the world we know had slavery in different forms and can see the anthropological evidence, the archaeological evidence in the bones, in the structure of the land. We can see the evidence of the historical account matching archaeologically and anthropologically what happened in these known slave societies, and how, and the difference between slave societies around the world and what was, quote, different with chattel slavery in the Americas. They can actually differentiate the type of slavery based on the bone structure, on the teeth, and all of this shit of chattel slavery in the Americas. And how ain't no shit, like there is nothing to corroborate that any group of people were enslaved for no hundreds of years anywhere in North Africa at the time that the so-called Hebrews, Hyksos, claim that they were held in captivity under the evil ass Egyptians. What there is evidence of by the hieroglyphics and by papyri and all of this shit, and even archaeological digs, what we can see is that the exact opposite is evident. Is that the building of the pyramids, in particular, was the first transcontinental economic boon for Africa. People who were able to come because they saw currency from all over the continent in the archaeological digs around the pyramids. They would see currency from all the way from South Africa. They would see bone structures that was evidentiary of so-called pygmies doing bids, doing time in and when I say bids and time, how they would sell their labor. They would sell their labor for a set period of time, because the general consensus is that it took 52 years to build pyramids. And that while the pyramids were being built, people would come from all over the continent and do contracts to contribute to the building of the pyramids, get their coins, and then go back home. But because your religion, which is the only religion that teaches that, which is the only religion, Abrahamic religions, the three bigs, Abrahamic religions, right, that still teach that the poor Hyksos, aka what y'all call Hebrews, right, was victimized by these dark-skinned niggas in Egypt, and therefore black-skinned people are bound to be the perpetual sufferers and servants to these motherfuckers as payback. And so they have moved accordingly with this conviction that conveniently allows them to participate in the slave trade, to fund the slave trade, to be the owners of enslaved Africans in the Americas. That's not my opinion. I have heard historians and Hebrew preachers, so-called Jewish converts, say so out their mouth. Now, we've been here since day one. We've been up in this bitch since America came to be in 1619, since 1492. We've been up in here since day one, and we have participated in the acquisition of wealth in every personification that exists. So what would be interesting to know, if that is the case, how many WASP were slave owning white-skinned Europeans, and how many of those white-skinned slave owning Europeans were Hebrews? And this boy get up on here today talking about how 3,500 homes have been people only. That's what he said out his mouth. That ain't what I said. That's what I watched right up on here this morning when I said I'm not gonna watch no news. I'm gonna turn on my Bjork and start dancing around my house to clear the energy up in this shit. And the first thing that came through my For You was these two boys talking about how 3,500 homes were stolen from black people in fucking New York in 13 years. And the one motherfucker who got caught, who was accused of stealing 350, got sentenced for 20 and didn't even serve a sentence, served 3 months. And he was like, we're going to let you go home with an ankle monitor. Go on out there and live your life. You live your best life. You did a good job. You ain't got to pay nobody back. You ain't got to get nobody. That ain't the judgment. You ain't got to get nobody their shit back. Child, look. Anyway, I said I wouldn't go digress anymore. I got to get up off here anyway. Let's see. So he says, no one has said it better or more clearly. No one has said it better or recognized more clearly the human being's absolute right to cling to spirit in a spiritless situation, or heart in a heartless world. But spirit and heart are real, and they alone have helped millions of human beings survive in otherwise unsurvivable situations. The tragedy of Marx and of Marxists was to confuse spirit with established religions. They saw clearly and historically that established religion aligned itself with the oppressor, the oppressing class, the oppressing monarchy, the oppressing social and economic systems always. They saw the seeds of oppression in religious doctrines, such as doctrines that rationalized poverty and enslavement and excused brutal tyranny and greed by setting, quote, God's seal on social systems based on hierarchies of rich and poor, hierarchies of rulers and the ruled. They saw the wealth and power of the churches and wretched passivity of the church's believers. They saw that the church was, in fact, a very man-made institution that gained and retained power by exploiting the reality of the spirit versus the reality of physical need. They heard sermons condemning material wealth and earthly pleasures, while the churchmen and their rich supporters lived in opulent security. And the mass of believers lived on their stony knees in rags. And they heard these conditions justified as God's plan for man. They saw that religious establishments take it upon, and God and human destiny always in their own elitist terms and only to their own worldly advantage. Seeing these things, Marxists rightly condemn the collusion of established religions in the historic oppression of human beings. Tragically, they also deny the reality of human spirit and its genuine longings. They rightly wanted to save humanity from religious exploitation, but in the narrowing of their focus, their economic and class reductiveness, their economic and class reductiveness, they split the human being into conflicting parts: material existence versus spiritual existence. This split was just the mere image of the already existing religious dualism. As dogmatic Marxist communism unfolded in country after country, this split reinforced the same alienation of the human condition that Marx wanted to resolve. It has created It has created the dreary state capitalism of Soviet Russia and its satellites, in which the state works dourly and mechanically to enforce the definition of human life as spiritless mechanism. Shit. Woo, my God. Woo. Oh, 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 oh. God damn. Mm. God damn. Yo. Mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh my God. When I tell you these sleight of hands, it is so pervasive. It's like, oh my God. Y'all know, y'all know, what's this thing called? Let me see. Um, what is that? Y'all have probably seen it. It's very it's oh my son of a bitch. I can't. It's too much. 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 I don't know if y'all have ever seen this thing. When I show it to you, probably have. Let's see. There it is. Is it 32? It's too much. I'm gonna have to come back up on here. 32. No, 23. Okay. You see this on a lot of flags. You see this in Italy sometimes, especially under like Mussolini. I've seen this on several European flags. I've seen this on some American iconography, right? I'm gonna try to show it to you. See, on IG first. You see that little, it's like a bundle of sticks topped off with typically like an axe. See that? You see that bundle of sticks typically topped off with like an axe. You see that? It's called the fasces. Fasces. Here's she talking about right here. And I said, oh, because once you see, man, I'm telling you, you can't unsee. This symbol is called the original Roman fasces. Okay, let me spell this out for you. Let's see. Yeah, let me spell this out for you so you can walk with me. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, and I didn't even notice until I got on this other walk the other day. I was like, oh shit, because I was telling y'all I don't want to hear none of y'all white people talking about no fascism. Stop doing that. When doing that, stop talking about Nazis, stop talking about the SS Army, stop talking about the secret police, stop talking about all that, stop talking about fascism. Oh my God, it's fascism. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. I went off for like 4 hours. Stop doing that shit. Right? And so I'm up on here looking for something else, and I find this. Fascis. Okay. This is what I just showed you. The bundle of sticks. You see this also as an emblem for a lot of secret societies here in the United States. A lot of these secret societies, you'll see this bundle of sticks bound together with a single axe protruding out of these bundle of sticks that are bound together, right? It says this was the original Roman fasces were bundles of birch rods bound together with red thongs, accompanied by an arrow or an axe. This was a symbol of authority, of implying power to punish the disobedient. Walk with me. This was a symbol of authority implying the power to punish the disobedient. Okay, when leading Rome magistrates marched in procession through the public streets, they were accompanied by attendants called lictors, who carried the fasces as a way of displaying their master's legal powers. The fasces emblem was adopted by the Italian nationalist movement under Mussolini in the 1930s. Thus, the members of this group became known as fascist or fascisti. You hear what I just said? They became known as fascist or fascisti because they carried an ancient, this was established under goddess worshiping Rome. A bunch of sticks come together, bound together, cannot be broken, penetrated. This was a symbol used by males in goddess worshiping Rome to, quote, give them the authority to punish the disobedient. You hear me? The disobedient. What does it mean? Doesn't disobedient sound like very different than, quote, lawbreakers, than, quote, criminals, than, quote, you know what I'm saying? Because it was still mother deities, what they called them, the tricapitoline, under Rome, under pagan Rome, not papal Rome, pagan Rome. The tricapitoline were three goddesses that ruled Rome. And these magistrates were the ones carrying out the goddesses. Who were the goddesses? Juno, who was over money, who was over all the wealth and the bounty. Juno, what was the other girl name? What was her name? Minerva, who was the goddess of wisdom. And Bellona. Juno, Minerva, and Bellona as the tricapitoline. And these men, the fasces, was their emblem, recognized by everybody that they were acting as like the Furies, the male Furies. The mother gives the judgment, and the magistrates will go and disseminate said punishment for disobedience on behalf of the divine mothers. Who are they? The tricapitoline, the equivalent of the Fates in Greek mythology. They just became the tricapitoline. And so y'all don't know the origin of anything you're saying out of your mouth. You don't research anything that you're saying out of your mouth. And so you give power to those who have fucked language so deeply that you are perpetually casting spells on yourself all the time, every day, using your own ashe to cast spells over your life. I said, and the reason I said that as the digression in this reading that I'm doing is because this is how they have consolidated power for themselves. Who are the bundles? Who are the birch rods making up the fascista, the fascisti, the fascists? And where did they get it from? Oh my God. Oh. Oh. Because I got to get out of here. Oh my God. I'm going to pick this up though. Where did they get that from? Hold on. Yeah. You're doing it wrong. All right. My phone would be acting up right now. Etymology of the word. I'm about to fuck y'all up. Y'all ain't ready. I mean, when I tell you, when I'm always telling y'all that Mary Daly hit the hammer on the head. She said the work of the fates in this moment is to redefine all time, to regain a memory of our true language, and to break the spell of globe cast a global exorcism to expel what she say to cast a global exorcism to expel to purge the spell of global amnesia, to purge the demon of global amnesia. You understand? But she said the only way we're gonna do that is to reclaim possession of language and to redefine all time. The word fascia. Are you familiar with the word fascia? The medical term, fascia, which obviously has its origin here because the instrument looks just like yo fascia. What does fascia mean? Fascia means to band a bundle, referring to the anatomical role of these connective tissue in wrapping around or binding muscles and organs. The term entered English in that anatomical use around 1788, though it was used much earlier in other contexts. Fascia. So you look at the muscular fibers, and each fiber looks just like a rod bound together. Just like you see, that rod had these weird little bindings wrapping around it to keep it in place. We move as one organ. We move though we are many. Look at that. See that? See that? Though we are many. Though we are single strands, we move as one organ. Though we appear to be different fibers, we move as one muscle. We move as one unit. We move as one organ. And so when I'm telling you these motherfuckers are playing in your face, you black-skinned people, stop doing these videos. Stop doing these videos. I've seen so many young people of color, not just black people, but black people more than anybody. Iran is fighting for the whole world. Bitch, you lying. Bitch, you lying. Who told you to say that? Where did you hear that from? What made you accept that idea as something revolutionary? The hell? What you said? Iran is fighting for the whole world. Bitch, what? Wait a minute. The Iran of just 2025? Before they people started protesting against them? Huh? The fuck are y'all talking about? If you're going to call somebody a motherfucking fascist, you better recognize the origin. Each one of these muscle fibers, one muscle fiber is the USA. One muscle fiber is France. One muscle fiber is goddamn Great Britain. One muscle fiber is China, bitch. One muscle fiber is North Korea, bitch. One muscle fiber is South Korea, bitch. One muscle fiber is Japan, bitch. One muscle fiber is the motherfucking Catholic Church, bitch. One muscle fiber is goddamn Hinduism. One muscle fiber is Buddhism. One muscle fiber is Judaism. One muscle fiber is Islam. One muscle fiber is the corporatocracy. One muscle fiber is bureaucracy. One muscle is the goddamn, what you call it, the welfare system. One muscle fiber is what y'all call that shit, the Department of where y'all go to get y'all driver's license. We appear to be many, but we move as one. And there's an X or an arrow. So it's no longer, we ain't in service to the goddess no more. So if we ain't in service to the goddess, that's why the X, that's why the arrow is what, however we move, is for our benefit. Who is the new fates? Who is the new global furies? It's God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Whoever that is to whoever is using it. Do you hear what I'm telling you? God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, whoever is using it. Christianity ain't the only religious iconography that has God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Buddhism got a version of God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Hinduism got a version of God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Judaism got a version of it. They son just ain't came yet. They Messiah, they say ain't came yet. Islam got a goddamn version of the shit. And in every last one of these versions, the divine feminine has been completely excised from the human consciousness. So we accept that under the Father God, that under his strict discipline, that punishment is an inevitability. It is our lot in life. And the more suffering and punishment we can accept with a smile on our face, the more gracious he will be in the afterlife, though he ain't never been gracious to us here in this life. We can expect and count on that the more suffering we willing to do here, that we will be looked after and have our own little mansion and shit in here, the great by and by. And depending upon what version of God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit you believe in, your heaven might be your own planet. Your heaven, your mansion might have a whole bunch of concubines. You feel me? You might. Everything is believable, but what is right in front of your face? That you worship a God of war who has been made bloated beyond capacity to even reason at your expense, always at your expense, and how all of them are in collusion. That's what made me think about this, because she's talking about the alienation that comes as a consequence. And I have felt that in my body, man. The alienation that you are bound to feel when you are told as a so-called member of the working class. Bitch, we ain't no working class. Who forced you to accept that shit? Who forced you to reduce the majesty of who you are, the bigness, the giantessness of who you are, to we just the working class, the poor people's campaign. We just poor people. The fuck? This did that shit as a strategy, huh? To ensure that you would never fight back, huh? She said here, where there's the alienation of the human condition that Marx wanted to resolve, it has created the opposite, a dreary state capitalism of Soviet Russia and its satellites. Who were the satellites of Russia? Black-skinned people. That's who the satellites was. Yellow-skinned people, red-skinned people. That's who the satellites were, continue to be today. The most giant proponents of socialist, Marxist, Leninist bullshit is colored folks still sighing in despair to end their fucking suffering with no other options seemingly before them. She said whether the satellites in which the state works dourly and mechanically to enforce its definition of human life as a spiritless mechanism. It has given fuel to the propaganda engines of the reactionary systems in all other countries, so that the world is ripped apart within itself in a false dichotomy between godless communism and divine capitalism. It's either or, red or blue, communism or capitalism. And at least we got God in capitalism. For if communism is atheistic, its opponents can claim to be mandated by God, however phony this claim might be. This book was written in 1983, and here you got a Christian a fake ass, phony ass, playing in your face, pretend Christian nationalist who goes to the Wailing Wall in his little keefy, doing the little humping and kissing on the wall, while claiming to be the greatest proponent of the life of Jesus. Crazy ass white woman advisor Paula White is talking about Trump is living the life of the Messiah. Here he is brought up on trumped up charges, false charges. Baby, this book was written in 1983, and you see, y'all see my book. Y'all see how marked up my book is. Y'all see how my book is, and every time I read it, I'm like, damn, this is more relevant than it was the first 10 times I read this book. So anyway, And I gotta go get my old people lunch. I'll be back though. I have another one. Like I'm gonna have to change them, but I'm gonna be back to finish this up. We up in here today, but be ready to make contributions and donations. I have to be in court on Wednesday. Y'all need to be conspiring on my behalf. Y'all need to be conspiring for the next 48 hours on my behalf. These white people are trying to kick me the fuck up out of here. They trying to make me homeless this week. You understand? So I need y'all conspiring on my behalf. You feel me? And I'm gonna be back on here after I go get my old people lunch. So give me about an hour. All right, peace.